A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Molly Goldbergs and Orianne Leland, the young Frenchwoman who's staying with Molly, have just been to a town meeting which Molly calls to talk over the future of Mr. Edward Way. Way was recently released from prison after having a hard time in Nelson Bay because of a prejudice to people feel for him. And Molly wanted her neighbors to know that he's a decent, rather honorable man despite what happened in the past. But there's a personal story here, too. The story of Dr. Christopher Taylor Jr.'s jealousy of Orianne's sympathy for Way, who's her partner in the newly formed chicken business. Chris and Jake wouldn't go to the meeting, but Molly and Orianne did their best without them. They just left the hall with Chris's father, Dr. Taylor Sr.
Whether you could throw your chair overheated from the extraction. I know why. But some meeting, huh? Some meeting. Orianne, you was wonderful. Orianne, you was marvelous. You was wonderful. The doctor told his father told you to wait here for him. Her cousin is fine. I think he's still talking with some people. Wait a minute. Orianne, I never thought one meeting could be so full of it's so full of prose and so full of facts. And when you spoke, darling, when you spoke, Orianne, everybody listened. Everybody listened. I also listened. Even though I was thinking of what I wanted to say and that I couldn't forget. But close your neck, darling. Close your neck. Orianne, darling, you was wonderful. I said what I said. Perhaps I said too much. What you said, Doctor, what you said it better than what I said. Because what you said was, how shall I say, was a general subject. But maybe I said too much, too. Orianne, I think when I said, who among us who is without a stone, let him throw it to see where the glass is full. Orianne, did you see? There was silence. There was silence for you. Who was it, Howard? Why isn't your husband here? I don't know. I didn't get the voices enough. Yes, unanimous. I didn't expect them to take Mr. Way to their house. I didn't expect not even that. But of course, everybody's entitled to him, and that's what you said, Orianne. That's what you said, better than I could say it. You said it. Mary still had to take out her handkerchief when you said it. But she wasn't the only one whose eyes were crying. Careful, darling, to cry. Careful, darling. The moon is so small that means maybe tomorrow Philly will have a show. Yes, so it's very good for my lesson. Dr. Taylor? We're right here.
Try to get ready.
That's all right. We'll run this way, Doctor. Right this way. I think is the best way.
I just couldn't help telling a few people what I thought of them.
What did they say?
Well, said they had as much right not to like Mr. Way as we had to like him.
I suppose that's right.
It's not right. I don't like Mr. Way either. I'm miserable to him, but even though he's been in prison, he's got a right to be treated like everyone else and given a chance to make a living on time. And no one's got a right to turn away from him. I told them. And they listened. Why, I saved the lives of most of those obstinate, pig-headed fools. If they get me mad, I'll be so careful next time. Where was Mr. Goldberg? Why wasn't he at the meeting? Why wasn't my son Chris over at your house, Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, he was.
How come he didn't come to the meeting with you and Mr. Leland?
Your son doesn't see eye to eye with us, Dr. Taylor.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
What did you say?
I said, mm-hmm.
Oh, I see where your son learned the habit.
What habit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, not like Chris.
What did he like him?
Well, I would have expected him to be at the meeting. He likes opposing conventional judgment.
He likes making people extraordinary, hypocritical attitudes. And here he is following the crowd. That's very odd.
Very odd. Very odd. To me also seems very odd.
After all, he knows what we know about Mr. Wade. He knows how people can make errors and not mean them, and still be blameless. He knows what people like. It's his business, his profession. It's the kind of a man he is, too. There must be something else. Something else.
Something else, Doctor says. It must be something else, Dr. Wade.
Well, perhaps there are some reasons we don't have to do entirely with Mr. Wade. Some, he's been coming to Washington quite often lately.
Very often lately. I noticed that quite often lately. Call me on his weekends. And now lately Dr. Curtis is weekday too.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. He'll have something up his sleeve. Perhaps he isn't quite sure what it is himself.
Well, a person is only a person. A person is only human, even if he is a lot of divorce.
I know my son. He's generous, intelligent, and warm-hearted. When his actions don't feel that way, then I know he doesn't know how his actions feel. You can't see the forest for the trees. Yes, his actions would very certainly peculiar.
Maybe it's good psychology.
My friend psychology, Mr. Williams, follows two schools. One school, the scientific one, he uses on his patients. And the other school, he uses on himself.
And what is the other school?
Self-interest. That's all. There's a car coming.
Mr. Goldbergs.
Is that the person, Mr. Goldbergs?
Hello, Dr. Curtis.
Hop in, Molly. I'll take you home.
All right.
Hello, dear. How was the meeting?
Wonderful.
All right. Step in, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. I'll sit in the back with Orion.
Orion isn't driving. He's going to walk home with me.
Oh, my.
Of course. Hop in bed. I'm walking home too. May. Who is walking? Who's riding?
I'll go with you, Goldberg. I'll go with you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mrs. Goldberg. I'll leave the front door open for you, Orion. All right.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah. Well, let's get moving. It's cold. Just a brisk, late fall night. Not for me. You should have accepted the ride. No, I wasn't in the mood to ride. And you'll have to please. Take my father's arm, Orion.
Yes.
We missed you at the meeting, sir. Well, I'm not really a townsman of Londonderry, and I didn't want to be in the way. You missed something very splendid. Oh? I know how interesting a town meeting can be. I mean, how splendid Mrs. Leland was.
I was excited.
Wonderful. When she told them off, Chris, she defended Mr. Wade like an avenging angel. She was exhilarating. Must have been to tear down the house. She looked very beautiful with the red spots of anger in her cheeks. The roses of anger. Yes. You would have enjoyed it. Yes. Dad, why don't you cut across South Meadow and save yourself for a quarter of a mile?
Through the dark meadow.
Well, my father knows his way around. Oh, you betcha, son. I wish you knew it as well. Good night, Mrs. Leland. I enjoyed you in the meeting tremendously.
Good night, Doctor.
See you home later. Don't wait up for me. Oh, you'll be home early. My father's rather high-spirited, you know.
Your father was very admirable the way he spoke of Mr. Wade.
Couldn't he change from the eternal subject of Wade?
If you like.
I want Mr. Wade to be as happy as he can be without swindling his fellow man. Finish. Let's talk about you.
That's a subject that's just as dull.
Well, not for me. The fact is, Orion, that I've decided to offer you another position.
Oh, I'm working now as Mr. Wade's partner.
Well, I think this job I'm offering you is slightly superior. Not much, to be sure.
I must refuse in advance.
Oh, that isn't fair.
What position is it?
As my wife.
Huh?
I'm offering to marry. This is a proposal of marriage. Needless to say, I'm in love with you. I feel that you feel the same towards me. I want to marry you. We can get married next week. As soon. If you want me to say it more romantically, I'm quite capable of it. You needn't answer again. I'll give you a few minutes. Nice night, isn't it?
Orion wonders, as we wonder, what inspired this proposal. Perhaps Chris's father is the only one of the class.
Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC. Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X-1.
Tonight, The Defenders, based on a story by Philip Dick. And now we bring you a special film of the destruction of San Francisco by radioactive pellets, released this week by robots of the Asian Confederation. This bombing was televised by robot cameramen of the Western Confederation as it took place. What you are about to see is a rebroadcast. Here you see the heroic robots, the Leddies, who defended San Francisco against the dastardly attack. Of course, since all human life has been under the surface of Earth for 16 years, there was no actual loss of life in the sense we know it. Still, the vicious destruction of Western Leddies by this sneak attack by Asian robots.
The surface war. The surface war, that's all we hear. It's all everybody works for. 90 cents out of every dollar goes for the surface war. Every man, woman, and child is either inventing new weapons or manufacturing robots to fight for us or taking care of the people who are doing the inventing or manufacturing.
Mary, take it easy.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Maybe you've been working too hard at the university.
Maybe.
How's the study coming?
All right.
Colonel Moss was asking about it only today over at Supreme Headquarters.
I'm still working.
Mary, you haven't mentioned the enemy much.
Oh, what's there to say?
Well, is he as hateful as ever?
He hasn't been feeling well.
Pity. I hope he doesn't die. After all, he's the only living captive member of the Asian Confederation. How old is he, by the way?
34.
Oh, you're joking, of course.
No.
Mary, Western society only moved under the surface of the Earth some 16 years ago. Now, that would mean that the enemy was captured when he was only a boy.
Yes.
He told you this?
Oh, no, he tells everyone he's 42. I deduced it from inconsistencies in his statements.
Well, that's a little dangerous, isn't it?
Well, you're the only one I've told, Dad.
I wish you wouldn't even tell me these things.
Do you expect your friend Colonel Moss to pop out from under the bed?
Now you're being facetious. It's no laughing matter, Mary. The whole concept of the enemy is so charged emotionally...
And so full of lies.
Mary!
It's true. I've been talking to him for 6 months now. He's just an ordinary young man who happens to have had the bad luck to come to symbolize every hated thing we fight against.
I've heard him speak. He is hateful.
He knows what to say if he wants to keep alive.
Mary, I won't hear any more of this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I suppose it doesn't serve any useful purpose.
It isn't that. I'm thinking of your own safety. If remarks like this were overheard, do you know what they do to traitors?
I've heard they turn them over to the Leddies.
They're taken up to the surface. As they approach it, the radioactivity begins to destroy them. And by the time they reach the top...
I'll be careful.
Good. Now then, why don't we stop this morbid talk? How about turning on some music,
All right. Dad.
Yes?
What was it like?
What?
On the surface.
Don't you remember?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, of course not. You were only about 6 at the time. Well, it's best not to talk about it too much.
Tell me, Dad, please.
Well, it was quite different from living underground. We lived in a valley, your mother and you and I. There were pretty farms along the floor of the valley, little white houses and green fields and trees.
Oh, and there were birds.
Yes. I'm afraid the birds are extinct now.
It must have been hard for you those first years underground.
It wasn't pleasant. But I had my work at the War Institute. There was so much to be done then, building the leadys to take over the surface war, designing the pneumatic tubes to get supplies and weapons up to the robots, organizing the robot councils on the surface, and, of course, the constant fight against radiation leakage. We're still working on that one.
I wonder what my life would have been like if it hadn't happened. About all I know is metal walls and great roaring factories and barracks.
Nobody wants to live this way, my dear. We have to. Someday, when the enemy is defeated...
What makes you think he'll be defeated? The Asians are just as secure underground as we are.
When our leadys conquer theirs...
Dad.
What is it?
Dad, the enemy, the one I've been interviewing.
I thought we weren't discussing him.
He mentioned a word to me.
A word?
Yes. It seems to me that I heard it before when I was a little girl.
It's best to forget these things.
No, I don't know what it means. It might even be a bad word, but I have to ask you.
I'd rather not.
Please?
Well?
The word was peace. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. I think I'll go up to my room. I have to get up early. I'm taping an interview with the enemy. Excuse me.
Get me the Director of Internal Security.
Yes?
Moss, this is Donald Taylor.
Yes, Donald.
It's about my daughter.
Mary?
Yes. She's been working with the enemy, as you know, compiling a new study.
Yes?
I'm afraid from some of the things he's told her that he may not be completely sane.
Oh?
I thought perhaps you might, supervise their relationship a little more. After all, she's been spending almost 6 months in his company, several hours a day.
I see what you mean.
Now, I don't mean to suggest that anything has happened already. Her attitude's...
Don't concern yourself about it. Everything will be handled discreetly.
The enemy is waiting inside, Miss Taylor.
Good. Is the recording and filming equipment ready to go?
All checked and ready.
You've checked the restraint suit on the prisoner?
Yes, miss.
You may leave us alone.
Just buzz when you want me, Miss Taylor.
I will. Thank you, guard. Hello, hateful one.
Hello, beloved.
How are you?
Feeling no pain?
I thought about you last night. I talked to Father.
Be careful.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, this can't go on, Mary. Sooner or later, someone will suspect.
I don't care. I love you.
Mary. Well, you'd better get something on tape. If anyone comes in.
All right. Tape number 425X. Subject, recorded interview with captive ZN2, former soldier of the Asian Confederation and enemy of the Western Confederation.
I'm Joseph Kali, serial number ZN2, former soldier of the Asian Confederation.
What were you taught to believe concerning the people of the Western Confederation?
I hate them with all my heart. They are inhuman and to be destroyed.
What is your objective?
It is the objective of my people to enslave all members of the Western Confederation and to utilize them for the benefit of the masters of the Asian Confederation.
Did you ever witness any murder of members of the Western Confederation?
I was a pilot in a group which dropped radioactive dust on women and children who were preparing to be evacuated underground. I myself killed some 15,000.
We will discontinue the interview to check the quality of the recordings. And to kiss the lips of the captive from the Asian Confederation. Oh, Joseph, I can't tell you how it pains me to hear you mouthing this stuff.
It keeps me alive.
If there were only some way to escape, some place to go.
The surface is the only place to go. And the radioactivity kills you in 40 minutes with the thickest lead suit.
Sometimes I think even 40 minutes of freedom would be worth it.
40 minutes of pain?
If that's the price, then
For myself, I wouldn't care. But for you, Mary.
If there were a way to reach the surface...
There is.
Colonel Moss.
This has been, I must say, a most interesting interview to hear.
You heard it.
From the beginning. We had the room wired this morning.
Then you know.
Yes.
What's going to happen to us?
To you, nothing. Because of my friendship for your father and your own youth. We will simply require that you remain silent about anything that has happened.
And Joseph?
The enemy will be handed over to a D-class leady at the mouth of the tube and taken to the surface. We will perform the entire operation with a ceremony and a public announcement.
He'll die.
Precisely.
No. Please.
Now you'd better go. Your father is waiting outside.
Joseph.
Mary, do as he says.
Joseph, I love you.
Take her out.
Please let me say goodbye to him.
Remove her.
Joseph, please. Please let me stay, please. Father?
Yes?
Did you talk to Colonel Moss?
Yes.
And?
He'll permit you to come along and watch the ceremony, provided there's no display of any sort, and, of course, a public denouncement of the whole matter. He's prepared a statement to the effect that the enemy tried to dupe you, that he used hypnosis, etc., etc. Well?
I'll sign it.
The ceremony is at the foot of the tube tomorrow morning at 6. At that hour, the enemy will be handed over to a D-class leady, which is being brought down from the surface. Remember your promise.
Details! Halt! The prisoner is ready to be turned over, sir.
Is the robot here?
The robot is arriving now.
I'll give the orders. I wish to converse with it.
Yes, sir. The robot has landed at the foot of the tube, sir.
Switch on the intercom. Robot.
Robot N71.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We have a prisoner to turn over. He is to be taken to the surface and destroyed.
Yes, sir.
Before we send him into the radiation lock, there are a few questions the military would like to have answered.
Yes, sir.
How is the war going on the surface?
The war continues. We are a little short of fast pursuit craft, the single-seat type.
It will be noted.
Our missiles pounded the Euro munitions plant of the Asian robot team last night with good results.
Excellent. Are you ready to receive the prisoner?
I am ready.
I must warn all observers to remain behind the lead wall when the radiation lock opens. A few seconds' exposure to a hot leady is enough to cause serious damage. Prisoner, step forward.
Father.
Steady, Mary. Remember your promise?
Yes. Is he?
He's there.
Oh, if I could only see him alone a minute.
It's out of the question. Keep well behind the lead wall.
Ready?
Ready, Colonel.
Open the lock. Step into the lock, prisoner.
He's in with the leady. You can almost feel the radiation. By now, he's as good as dead.
Lower the door.
No! Wait! Joseph! Joseph!
Mary, come back!
Hold the door!
Mary!
Run! Robert! Remove the woman and take the prisoner to the surface. Hurry!
She'll be burned to death.
Don't go out there. The lady is pushing her out. Close the lock!
Mary!
Sergeant! Get a technician in a radiation suit to pick her up. Have her shielded and brought to the decontaminating chamber.
Yes, sir.
My daughter.
You'd better get into a lead suit, Donald. We'll see what we can do to save her.
How is she? Bad?
I don't understand it.
What's wrong?
She's cold. Not a trace of radiation.
You mean the leady wasn't radioactive?
It's impossible. Those robots are exposed to enough radiation in an hour to kill a regiment.
Well, could the counter be defective?
I checked it. No, it must be some freak. Somehow she avoided exposure to the rays. Yeah, you're a very lucky man, Professor.
Can I see her?
Yes. Go in.
Thank you. Mary.
Hello, Dad.
Did they tell you you're going to be all right?
Yes.
Well, you don't seem overjoyed.
Should I be?
You really care for this murderer of women and children?
Dad, for the last time, Joseph never murdered any women and children. He confessed to those crimes to keep alive.
Well, we won't discuss it. You're safe. That's all that matters.
Was he taken up?
Yes. By now, he's gone.
I don't believe it.
Mary.
I don't believe it. Somehow, deep inside me, I know he's alive. Somehow, I knew that leady wasn't radioactive.
That leady. Yes, that's puzzling. We'll have to investigate that. I'm going to send an order to the surface asking that the same leady be sent down again. There's something very strange about the whole business.
The tube is arriving with the leady as you requested, Professor.
Good. I'm going in to examine it.
Isn't that dangerous, even with the suit on, sir?
It won't take me long.
Very well. He's reached bottom.
Open the lock.
Father.
Hold it. Mary, what are you doing here in a radiation suit?
This is the same leady, isn't it?
Yes. I was just going in to examine it.
I want to go with you.
Why?
This is the leady that took Joseph up. I want to speak to it and find out.
Now, Mary, why torture yourself?
It's more torture this way. I have to know. If he's alive or dead, I have to know.
He's dead.
The leady will know. Please, Father, please.
Very well. Close your helmet. Open the lock, guard.
Ready, Mary?
Ready.
Let's go in. You're Robert N71?
I am.
The same who escorted the prisoner to the surface this morning?
Yes.
Is he?
He is dead. The radiation killed him before he reached the surface.
Oh, no.
Steady, Mary. Robert,
Sir?
you accompanied him to the surface?
Yes.
You've been exposed.
I've fought in 3 battles.
Then explain something.
Sir?
According to a counter I have concealed in my suit, you're cold. Not a trace of radioactivation. How do you explain this? Well? Answer me. That's an order.
I must return to the surface.
Not till you answer me.
I must return to continue fighting the war. Do not attempt to stop me.
Daddy has a ray gun.
Look out! Keep back. I've shorted him with the metal counter. He'll be burned out in a second. That was close.
I thought these robots were unable to harm their masters.
He might have been bluffing, but I couldn't take a chance.
Why do you suppose he did it?
I don't know. But I'm beginning to suspect something so fantastic that I've got to find out about it.
Find out?
Leave the tube, Mary.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to the surface.
What?
My suit will protect me for about 5 minutes up there.
No humans have been up to the surface for years. It's illegal.
I know all about that. Now, will you leave the tube?
No. I'm going with you.
Mary, please.
If you go, I go with you.
All right. Hang on. I'm going to start the elevator. fire stopping.
Silence is frightening. Father, what was that?
It sounds like a rooster.
It's impossible. There's no living thing on Earth.
Open the car door.
Father.
Mary, do you see what I see? Trees, forests, a windmill, and farmhouses. Look, we must be dreaming.
Father. Birds, look.
It's unbelievable. Oh, no, I can't believe it. I can't.
Raise your hands, both of you.
It's a leady.
Do as he says. He's armed.
Good. I am Alpha 5, chairman of the Surface Council.
What's this all about? Where's the war? The ruins? What's happened here?
Can't you guess?
The war.
There is no war. There hasn't been any war for 15 years.
No war? But the guns, the munitions...
We've been destroying them as fast as you sent them to the surface.
And the Asians?
Their robots have been destroying their arms also.
Why? How did this happen? What about those films of the destruction of San Francisco? What about those televised reports, the bombings, the slaughter?
Models.
Models?
We have a full-time division of A-class robots who do nothing but photograph the progress of the fictitious war using scale models. The entire destruction of San Francisco, which you witnessed on your televisors, took place on a tabletop.
How did this come about?
Quite logically. You created us to pursue the war for you, while you, human beings, went below ground to survive. But before we could continue the war, it was necessary to analyze it, to determine its purpose. We did this.
And?
We found it had no purpose. War, to the logical mind, is absurd, but it fulfills a need in human terms. The need to direct your hatred of yourselves away from you and onto others. Eventually, man will grow up enough so that he can face his own dislike of himself with humility. The time has almost come, as a matter of fact. Until it does come, we decided to preserve the illusion of war. Meanwhile, we rebuilt the cities, replanted the farms, and kept everything in readiness. We are the caretakers.
And what will happen to my daughter and myself?
You will remain on the surface with the others.
Others?
There is a small group of members of the Asian Confederation which came to the surface only a few months ago. They are farming a valley not far from here. By the way, you may remove your radiation suits. There is no radiation.
You said the others. Does that mean that the prisoner, the one who...
He is alive and well.
Father, he's alive. Where is he?
In a farmhouse not far from here. He has rejoined some of his people.
Would you take me to him? Can I see him?
Of course, if you will just follow me.
Wait. There's another car rising in the tube.
Stand aside.
Just remain where you are. Sergeant, take this leady into custody.
Yes, sir.
Well, Professor, this is quite a sight.
How did you happen to come here?
The guard told us you had surfaced. We found the shorted robot where you left it and discovered it was cold. So we decided we'd better investigate. Good Lord, what a shock this is.
A blessing, Colonel, not a shock.
Do the Asians know about this?
A few of them have surfaced, but the underground civilization is still ignorant of it. They think the war is going on just as our people do.
Don't say. You know what this means, don't you?
It means the end of the war. It means peace.
It means victory, Professor. It means we can mount a full-scale attack. We can drop hydrogen fission bombs right down their tubes. We can wipe out the whole race.
But there's no need. There's no war.
There will be. I'm returning underground to report this to Supreme Headquarters. You'll have to accompany me for security purposes.
You cannot do that, Colonel.
Since when does a robot give orders to a human?
We were constructed to protect you. In this case, we will protect you from yourselves.
Stand aside. We're going to the tube.
I will be happy to stand aside. but you will not be able to descend.
No? Well, we'll just see. Look out!
Father, what is it? What happened?
Look. Good Lord. They've destroyed the tube. We're sealed off.
Exactly. We have always had heat bombs in readiness for just such an emergency. Lead and rock are fused for a depth of some 10 miles. It will be years before your people can reconstruct the tube.
I don't believe it.
It makes no difference to us whether you believe it or not.
Men, destroy this robot.
There are many more.
Destroy him. Now.
Look, down the road. Humans. A bunch of humans coming toward us.
Why, they're waving.
Those are rations.
Joseph! Joseph! Father Joseph's with them.
Ready arms, men. As soon as they're close enough, I'll give the signal to fire.
Colonel, in heaven's name, they aren't even armed.
They're the enemy.
Our only hope for survival is to join with them. We'll need food and shelter. If we destroy them...
The professor is right, Colonel. We're cut off from our own people.
Sergeant, another word, and I'll have you court-martialed. Now, ready your weapons.
Men, don't do it. Our only hope now is peace.
Silence!
I've got to warn them. Go back! Go back!
All right, Professor, you asked for it. Now!
Father! Father, is he...
Colonel Moss is dead. Thank you, Sergeant. You've saved not only my life, but many others.
I couldn't see any other way, Professor. We gotta live, too.
Father,
Yes, Mary?
does this mean that we can have peace?
If we want it, Mary. If we really want it, we can have it.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the Clifford D. Simak novelette titled Drop Dead, the story of a perfect world, accommodating and peaceful. But how it got that way was less ghastly than how it stayed that way. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you the George Lefferts adaptation of The Defenders, based on a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Philip Dick. Featured in the cast were Lydia Bruce, Warren Parker, Grant Richards, Robert Dryden, Michael Ingram, Stan Early, and Ivor Francis. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, Lulungameena by Gordon R. Dixon.
Blame Clay Harbank, if you like, for what happened at Station 563. Or blame Bill Peterborough, the one we called the Kid. I blame no one. I'm a Dorsai man. That means I was brought up on one of those tiny planets a million light years from nowhere. Being a Dorsai man is quite a responsibility. We are a very polite people. We have to be. Because when we get angry, we fight to the death. It all began that evening that Clay Harbank began reminiscing about his home planet, Lulungameena. We were sitting around the recreation room of 563. There was a card game going on in one corner.
Lulungameena. The very name sounds like music, doesn't it, Mort?
You know me, Clay. I'm a Dorsai man.
I've been in the Dorsai planets. I've seen them all knocking around this universe for 35 years. But when it comes to sheer beauty, Lulungameena.
How long since you've been home, Clay?
Home? 20 years, Mort. 20 stinking, miserable years. Well, that'll be over soon.
Another 10 days. You gonna miss old 563?
Miss this godforsaken little asteroid? Not for a minute.
We'll miss your ugly face around here. At least I will.
I'm gonna miss your gloomy Dorsai puss, too. Mort, why don't you get out of it? You've had more years in space service than any of us. You've probably got enough credits to get out, too.
Me? I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Couldn't you go home?
You should know better than that.
The Denebrian trouble?
The Denebrian trouble?
You could go to Earth.
What for?
Ever been there?
Never once. And I've never wanted to. I've seen too many Earthmen. Like the Kid over there.
He's green in service.
He's full of greed and stupid hate like the rest of them. No, that's not for me.
Looks as if the game's breaking up. Here he comes.
Well, if it isn't the big gambler from the windy planet. What's its name?
Lulungameena.
Yeah. How's the piggy bank coming, Dad?
The piggy's a gentleman, Kid. He never overeats, so he won't ever get indigestion.
Sour grapes. You see this wad of credits? 500. How long you have to work for 500 credits, Dad? How many trips you have to make around this asteroid? How much closer to falling in your grave you have to come?
You look as if you made a killing.
I always make a killing. I'm a natural-born gambler. And I don't just talk about it like some.
I think I'll go out and take a turn around the station, Mort.
Fine, I'll go with you. It's, stuffy in here.
Don't bother. I'd rather be alone.
Big shot. Knocked around the planets for 35 years. Used to have a reputation as the hottest gambler in the systems. Comes from the most beautiful planet in the universe. Bull.
Why don't you lay off him? Kid, let me give you a piece of sound advice.
Go ahead.
Lay off Clay Harbank. He's been around the systems a lot longer than you have. He may not be any chicken, but he's a tough baby when the situation calls for it.
You trying to scare me, Mort? I thought you Dorsai guys were smarter than that. I'm beginning...
No, look, kid.
No, look. No offense, Morty. I mean, I wasn't trying to insult the Dorsai people or anything. I got to go do a flight check. I'll see you.
We were in bad shape. The 20 of us at Frontier Station 563 on the very edge of the human area had gone sour. Half the men had applications for transfer in already. What I told the Kid about Clay being tough, well, that was a bluff to keep him off. Nobody knew better than I did that Clay was burned out inside like a used-up rocket. I put on a spacesuit and went out to join him.
Oh, hi, Mort.
Hi.
Beautiful night, huh?
Nice.
Back on Lulungameena, on a night like this, the rakish flowers open up, and you can hear them singing. There are 6 moons, and every one of them is like a yellow lantern. My mom and Dad and I used to live on the edge of a lotus pool. Here I go talking about home again.
Figures. A guy who's been saving up for 10 years to get home is bound to start thinking about it when the time comes.
I wish you could come with me, Mort.
Clay, tell me something.
Yes?
Do you ever get the urge to gamble again?
Do I get the urge to gamble? Mort, you ever watch a man who's been on PON for a while? When he's broken the habit, you can't get him near the stuff. He despises it. And yet, the same man is liable to go back on with no provocation. Well, that's the way it is when you've gambled all your life.
I figured.
Maybe that's why I keep talking about home. Every time I hear the kid flipping those cards in the recreation room, I start talking about home. Have you noticed?
I've noticed.
But this time I'm going to make it, Mort. I tried 3 times before. This time I've got the dough, and I know I'm going to make it.
I think you will, Clay.
You know what did it?
Oh.
Lulungameena. That's what saved me this time. The thought of that beautiful planet.
Well, when you get there, you can send me a photo tape. At the rate we get visitors, it should reach me in 5 or 6 years.
You'll be out by then. You'll be home.
I'll never go home, Clay. Never. Well...
That's Red 4.
Screens must have picked up a ship in the galaxy.
Maybe we'll get a visit.
Keep us from going loco anyway. Coming in?
No, I think I'll stay out a while.
Well, I'm going to check the screen. See you later. Red 4 meant simply that a ship was entering the galaxy. The chances of it touching down on 563 were pretty remote, unless it happened to need a clearance for Earth or Mars. The screen was black by the time I got there, but the kid was filing a report.
Oh, hiya, Mort. Hey, what's a Hixabrod like?
Why?
We're having one for a visitor.
You don't say.
I just came in over the receiver. What'll he be like?
A Hixabrod? Stiff as a poker, proud as Lucifer, honest as sunlight, and tight as a camel on his way through the eye of a needle.
What do they look like?
Oh, they're kind of humanoid, but they have a deadpan face that never changes, like a mask.
Well, they're a little scary, I hear.
Oh, that's a green skin and the scales. Also, they run about 8 feet tall. I wouldn't tangle with one if I were you. Back on Denebria once, I saw a Hixabrod rip a man to ribbons with its claws.
Why?
The man made the mistake of insulting Hixa. That's one of the twin planets they come from.
Pretty touchy, aren't they?
Not really. They're a very level-headed race. You know the Hixabrod reputation, don't you?
No, you didn't hear much about them on Earth.
Well, they're the first and only mercenary political arbitrators in the known universe. A Hixabrod can be hired, but he's absolutely incapable of being influenced or bribed. He tells the cold truth and nothing but the cold truth. And, brother, when a Hixabrod tells you the truth, it's plenty cold.
It really lets you have it, huh?
They're a small race and very much in demand. If some kind of political dispute comes up from planetary to inter-alien, both sides hire a Hixabrod to represent them. That way they know the other side is being completely honest.
Oh, that's very interesting, you know. Very interesting.
I could tell there was something on the kid's mind, but of course I didn't know what it was. Most of the talk in the recreation room that night centered around the arrival of the Hixabrod. Landing beacons were turned on, and we waited for another radio communication.
Hey, anybody want to sit in on this next hand? What?
No, thanks.
Well, I know better than to ask the galaxy's foremost gambler here.
That's right, kid.
Well, maybe when this Hixabrod gets here, we'll be able to work up a decent game. Do Hixabrods gamble?
No, kid, they don't gamble.
That's too bad. Well, we can always sit and listen to you lying about what a beautiful place Lulungameena is.
Kid, you just went too far.
Yeah, you're going to do something about it?
That's right, I'm going to punch your little nose.
Hey,
break it up! Break it up! Clay, you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Well, you better get to the infirmary. Have your mouth taken care of. Kid, you get to your quarters.
Since when are you giving orders?
I'm telling you to get to your quarters.
You better do what he says, kid. He's a Dorsai man.
That's all I've been hearing since I got here. What big gamblers come from Lulungameena and how Dorsai men are killers. So far, I've seen nothing, but I heard a lot of talk.
You're going to get to your quarters? I'll give you 5 seconds to start moving.
You better go ahead, kid.
Okay, Mort. I'm letting you bluff me out of the game this time. Just remember, there's going to be other games. Next time, I won't be bluffed.
He left the recreation room. I felt a slight and not unpleasant shiver run down between my shoulder blades, and my eyes were still hot. I'd almost lost my control that time, and my senses told me I'd better be careful. For the next 3 days, the tension of 563 was almost unbearable. Clay Harbank seemed to age 20 years after the kid knocked him down.
Now hear this, all personnel. Now hear this, all personnel. A ship is approaching for flight check. A ship is approaching for flight check. Report to Central. Report to Central.
Well, this is it, Clay. We're getting the Hicks abroad.
Seems almost like home having a Hicks abroad with us. They're all over the Tarsian system, you know.
You speak Hicks abroad?
You have to on Lulungameena.
Oh, I didn't know that. I picked it up during the 3rd exploration.
Long time ago, huh?
We're not getting younger, Clay.
Yeah. I found that out.
Ah, don't take it so big. He's just a punk kid.
Sure. And I'm just a dumb old man.
Oh, forget it. Ah, that's touchdown. You ought to be here in a minute. Well, that does it. He's down.
Look at that ship, huh?
Let's go. You'll need some help with his baggage. The ship was a silvery one-man job, the kind that have taken the Hicks abroad all over the universe. The cabin door slid back, and the Hicksa stepped out. He was as green and scaly as a lizard, but there was a certain unmistakable dignity in his bearing. Since I spoke the language, I was the first to greet him. Belt the Hutch and Hicks abroad. Welcome to this place.
I greet you, Dorsai man.
My name is Mort Bianski.
I am called Dorlassus.
Come. I'll show you to your quarters.
Thank you.
How long will you remain here?
Only for one night. I wish clearance for Mars.
I'm sure it can be handled. This way. I wondered how he knew I was a Dorsai man. And then it seemed obvious. My broken nose, the scars, the lined face. Nobody could mistake a human from the Dorsai planets. Still, it scared me a little. I kept wondering if he had anything to do with interplanetary police. I tried to put it out of my mind. It was no use. Mind if I come in, Clay?
Sit down. Have a smoke.
Thanks.
Where's the Hicks abroad?
In his room, getting cleaned up for dinner.
Strange guys, aren't they?
Well, there's something even stranger going on.
What's that?
The kid's in there with him.
With the Hicks?
Mm-hmm.
What do you suppose they're talking about?
I don't know. I wish I did.
Kid's probably trying to get the Hicks into a dice game.
I doubt it.
What's on your mind, Mort?
Clay, you've been around. Are there any Hicks abroads in interplanetary police?
A few. Why?
I don't know. I just had a feeling, you know.
Oh, you're dreaming up bogeymen.
Maybe.
Besides, you're not in any trouble outside the Dorsai system.
I killed a human, Clay.
Not deliberately?
In a rage.
Happens all the time on Dorsai, doesn't it?
Not to an officer of Intergalactic.
Besides, that was 25 years ago.
There's no statute of limitations in the systems.
Nobody knows but me, right?
You don't have to be clairvoyant to wonder why a man hasn't been back to his home planet for 25 years.
You, think the kid...
I don't know. He's got no love for me.
Still, he doesn't know anything. How would he know this Hicks abroad is an agent, if he is?
Couldn't say.
Where are you going?
Well, I think I'll take a look at that message the kid filed. The one we got when we first picked up the Hicks abroad on the screens.
Let me know what you find, if anything.
I walked through the empty corridors to the communication center. I went directly to the files where incoming messages are kept and flicked the tab until I got to Notices of Arrivals. There, 2 days before, was a report of the arrival of Dorlassus. I ran my finger down the statistics until I came to the line that said, Point of Origin of Flight. It read, Tarsian Galaxy. That was where Clay Harbank's Lulungameena was. I read further, where it said Nature of Business. My blood ran cold as I spelled out the words, Criminal...
Come Come in.
Belt the Hutch and Hixabrod.
I greet you, Dorsai man.
Is there anything you require?
Nothing, thank you.
I came to tell you that we'll have dinner tonight at 800 hours.
The young Earthman has already informed me.
There's a shortage of raw meat here.
I've brought my own food, thank you.
I see you came in from the Tarsian planets.
Yes.
You didn't happen to be in the Dorsai planets before that?
No.
Oh, I thought perhaps you might have some news.
I came from intergalactic headquarters.
Yes, I saw your flight check.
Then you know my mission.
Yes.
Good.
How long do I have to pack?
I will be leaving at 700 hours tomorrow morning. Can you be ready by then?
Yes, I guess so.
Good.
I don't suppose there's any point in appealing to you. Hixabrods are supposed to be totally without emotion.
There is no point in appealing.
Funny thing. I've been running away from this moment for 25 years, and now that it's come, I'm glad. We'll be going back to the Dorsites?
Yes, to intergalactic headquarters.
After all these years. Home. I don't suppose a Hixabrod knows what that feeling is like.
I will expect you at 700 hours. Now, if you don't mind, I wish to prepare my food.
One thing.
Yes?
Did the young Earthman tip you off about me?
No.
Funny. I could have sworn it was him. That was that. When a Hixabrod tells you no, you can bet your life he isn't lying. I began to wonder how they located me. I began to wonder what he and the kid had talked about. I began to wonder a lot of things.
Well?
He's an agent for Intergalactic.
Well, that doesn't prove he's after you?
He is.
How do you know?
I just talked to him.
Lord in heaven.
It isn't so bad, really. Just think, I'll be going home.
I'm going to kill that kid.
Clay.
I'm going to kill him.
Clay, listen to me. The kid didn't turn me in.
You said...
I said he was talking to the Hicks. I just asked him, and the Hicks told me it wasn't the kid.
They don't lie.
So don't go blowing off.
It's going to be hard. 10 days.
Doesn't have to be 10 days.
What do you mean?
How many credits do you need to buy your way out?
Another 500. Next payday.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
I have over 900 credits. I'll turn them over to you.
Mort.
Listen, I don't need them. You can pay off tomorrow and fly as far as the Tarsian chain with me and the Hicks.
It's a very nice thing, Mort.
Will you do it?
I'll think about it. Let you know after dinner.
I thought of running away, but there was really no place to run once they tracked you down. And the Hixabrowds were utterly relentless once they'd agreed to bring a man in. Since they had no feelings, they made no judgments. They were absolutely certain that a man would get a fair trial. I packed my stuff and went in to dinner. The Hixabrod was at the head of the table eating his raw chinsu meat.
Pass the gravy, please. Dorlasis.
Yes?
They tell me that the Hixabrod home planet is a very beautiful place.
It is true.
Well, I'm from Earth myself.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what this beautiful planet of yours looks like.
The kid's pretty talkative tonight. What's cooking?
I don't know, but I don't trust it.
The flora and fauna are maintained in excellent natural balance. No local surplus has exceeded 1% of the normal population for the last 60,000 years. Life on Hixa is predictable. The weather is controlled within the greatest limits of feasibility. The symmetry of the landscape is without parallel in the universe.
Very pretty picture. Very attractive home world. But I regret to inform you, Dorlasis, that I've been given to understand that it pales into insignificance when compared with another beauty spot in our universe.
Your Earth?
I wish I could say yes. No. This place is so wonderful, I doubt if an Earthman like me could get in. In fact, I've never seen it. But I've been hearing about it for some months now. And either it's the most wonderful place in the universe, or the man who's been telling me about it is a rotten liar.
Get your gun, kid. Get your gun.
Why guns?
You call me a liar.
Why use guns when it's possible to prove the thing one way or another with complete certainty? For months now, you've been telling me two things. One, that you used to be a gambler. Two, your precious Lulungameena is the most wonderful place in the universe. The question is either statement true?
They're both true.
You'll back them up?
With my life.
I'm not asking you to back them with your life. Just back them with that nice little hoard you've been accumulating all these years.
Clay, don't.
Well, you said you were a gambler. Bet with me and prove it.
Suppose I do. How do we prove my statement about Lulungameena?
It's easy. We have with us at this table a Hexabrod. In a conversation with him, I found out that he's just visited every planet in the Tarsian chain. Now, as everyone knows, a Hexabrod never lies. Do you think you could judge this point, Dorlasis?
The point can be judged.
Well, gambler.
Clay, it's a trick. Don't bet.
How much will you bet, kid?
All I got. The equivalent of 10 years' pay. Well?
You're on.
Dorlasis, okay if I question you?
Proceed.
You've been to the planet in the Tarsian chain, which this man calls his home?
I must ascertain the position of the planet.
The fourth planet.
Ah, yes. The one with 6 moons.
That's it.
I've been there recently. As you well know, since we spoke of it only this afternoon.
We did speak of it, that's true. Now, will you tell me, you know the planet?
Yes.
You know its geography?
I do not repeat myself.
Is it a large planet?
No.
Is it a rich planet?
No.
Was there not a rain of radioactive fallout from an explosion of a nearby star only 5 months ago?
There was.
Did it not destroy every piece of vegetation and leave this planet a gutted, smoking ruins, charred and ugly?
It did.
Well, gambler?
You haven't asked him the main question yet, kid.
Would you like to ask him?
All right. Hexabrod, the question to be judged is this. Is Lulungameena the most beautiful and the most wonderful place in the universe?
Yes. It is.
What?
Well, kid?
It's a trick. It's a rotten trick. I don't believe it. The Hexes...
The eyes of the Hexabrod were narrow and baleful as he pushed back his chair. You could almost feel them burning as he dragged his scaly feet over toward the kid. He stopped about 6 inches from the kid and held both his hands up, palms near the kid's eyes. There was a clicking sound, and we watched 11 sets of gleaming razor-like claws shoot up from the tips of the Hexabrod's fingers. Their points were almost against the kid's eyes.
Look at my hands, Earthman. Are they not clean?
Yes.
Do you doubt that I have told the truth?
No.
Then there is nothing further to discuss. I bow to you, gentlemen. I thank you for your hospitality. You will excuse me.
We stood around and watched that proud, frightening figure drag itself out of the room. The kid was trembling like a leaf as he drew a bank draft for 10 years' pay and handed it to Clay Harbank. The next morning, Clay and I boarded the Hexabrod ship, and 4 days later, we touched down at the outer planet of the Tarsian chain.
Well, this is where I get off, Mort. I don't know what to say, really. I guess you know how I feel.
Think I do, Clay. Let's just say so long.
There will be no need for goodbyes.
What?
Both of you are leaving the ship here.
But I thought
I intend to return to intergalactic headquarters empty-handed.
Empty-handed? But they'll question you. What will you tell them?
The truth, of course.
But
you have told me nothing.
But I assumed...
I am not interested in your assumption. You asked me my mission. I told you it was a criminal investigation. You said you assumed you would go back with me. And I told you when my ship was departing. There is nothing more to be said.
But surely you know...
What? Don't say anything. The Hexabrod deals only with facts. What is absolutely known. They're the most literal beings in the universe. Let it go at that.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I am grateful for the pleasure of your company.
5 minutes later, Clay Harbank and I shook hands at the exit of the spaceport on Tarsus 10. But before we parted, there was one thing I had to know. Clay, one thing before you go.
Yes?
How did you know the Hexabrod would lie about Lulungameena?
He didn't lie, Mort. The Hexabrod never lies.
But Lulungameena...
Mort, let me tell you something. Lulungameena is a word in use throughout the Tarsian planets. Actually, it's a Hexabrod word. It means home. All I did was ask the Hexabrod if home was beautiful. He simply said yes. And a Hexabrod, as everybody knows, doesn't lie.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the Finn O'Donovan novelette Bad Medicine, the story of a robot therapist that never failed to effect a cure, even if it had to convert itself into a typhoid Mary to do so. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Lulungameena, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Gordon R. Dixon and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Ralph Camargo, Ned Weaver, Jack Grimes, Bob Hastings, and Kermit Murdoch. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
X-1 came to you from our Radio City studios in New York. Next week, listen to Project Mastodon, Clifford Seamock's story on X-1. Follow the news with Chet Huntley tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
The Magic Island has become a place of dread terror and weird scientific happenings. Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, and Jerry Hall are constantly watched by the mastermind of the strange colony on the Isle of Euclidia. Joan, the long-lost little daughter of Mrs. Gregory, has been found on the island and wants to escape with her mother and her new friends. But this seems impossible. Captain Bradford is confined in a cell. And as Jerry talks to him through the solid, yet translucent wall, the captain chokes, seizes his throat, and falls.
Captain Bradford! Tex! What happened to you? Oh, gee, I got to do... Joan told me not to touch this wall. It's charged with electricity. But I've got to do something for Tex. That crazy old scientist G47 has done this. I'll find him. Help! Somebody! G47! Joan! Mrs. Gregory! Help! Mrs. Gregory! Help!
Here I am, Jerry. What's the matter?
Come here quickly, Mrs. Gregory. Hurry!
What's happened, Jerry? You look badly shaken up.
Captain Bradford. Tex, in the cell. Something choked him.
Oh.
He choked and fell down.
Where is he now?
Right here, in this cell.
We've got to do something for him.
Don't touch that wall. It's charged. I didn't go in there, but here comes C-47 now. He'll know what to do.
Did he do this to Tex?
I think so. Tex and I were talking about...
What is all the screaming about, you young fool? What is going on here?
You know what's going on.
What have you done to Captain Bradford?
I have done nothing to him. I have ways of knowing what is going on in the cells. I heard this young fool and the captain plotting against me.
But what did you do to the captain?
I did nothing to him.
You did, too. He was talking to me, then he started to choke. He grabbed his throat and fell over.
So? There is something wrong here. Come with me. We'll have a look in this cell. I ordered nothing done. It is possible that one of my assistants ordered the gas turned into the cell accidentally.
Hurry, then. He may be dead by now.
That would depend on what kind of gas was given.
He started to turn black in the face.
That is bad. We must hurry. You may come in also.
Look out. Don't touch that wall.
Have no fear. When you ran screaming from the cell, I had the current turned off. We will enter.
Oh, Tex. Tex, what's happened to you, Tex?
Keep your face away from his, madame. If it is the lethal gas, one breath of it from his respiratory organs in their natural constriction and you would be... Oh, no. He breathes. Strange. What could have happened?
Well, let's do something.
Yes, anything, only hurry.
Well, something is amiss here. I have never had an accident like this. You, young man.
Yes?
Do you know artificial respiration?
Sure I do.
Administer it at once. I have cut all communication to this cell. I must return to my quarters to establish contact with the laboratory again. I will have aid here in less than 90 seconds.
Work fast, Jerry. I know how to do it. Let me help.
Quiet, both
Why
of you.
didn't he text you?
Quiet, I said. We have just about a minute. He said all communication was cut off from this cell, so no one will overhear us. I'm all right. Just faked this so Jerry would run out yelling and give us this chance.
You sure scared me.
All right, hurry. You have a plan, Tex. What is it?
We'll never get this chance again, so listen closely. At all other times, they can see and hear all we do, no matter where we are on the island or on the yacht. But they must have something to protect themselves against the very thing they have developed.
I don't see...
I do. They figure someone else might be smart enough to invent rays and beams and all that, and they have something that will stop all those things.
Exactly, son. Now, here's the plan. We'll find out what that material is. It's either cloth, wood, or metal, which shields out all rays and cannot be dissolved by gases or light rays. And sound and visibility will not penetrate it. We'll get our hands on some of that stuff. Pick an excuse to spend our time on the yacht, smuggle that material aboard, and use it to shield our radio while we signal the world, or escape from here. Now, you got all that?
Every word of it. And I'll get G47 to take me on a tour of all the machines and laboratories and find out what it is.
I'll work too, Tex. Maybe Joan will know.
Quiet. I think I felt a vibration through these walls. Work on me, quick.
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, he's breathing all right, but he doesn't seem to wake up very fast.
Oh, Jerry, what can we do? Why doesn't help come?
There is no need to worry, madame. And you, Hall, you may cease trying to tear the captain's arms out by the roots.
What's it all about?
We can't wake him. Do something for him.
If he dies, I'll get you for this G47.
Your threats are foolish, and you know it. You cannot harm me.
Never mind that. What happened to Tex?
One of my assistants in the laboratory R3 was working with a new 800-second paralyzing ray. A beam of it must have escaped and cut through this cell.
Then Captain Bradford will be all right?
You mean he'll come out of it just like Joan and I did?
Yes, he will. If it was the 800-second ray, he should be over the effects of it in just 20 seconds. As I figure it from the time you screamed.
Did you time it exactly when I screamed?
Naturally. Our disturbance indicator records every slight shock, even of a voice. Records it to the fraction of a second. And all our personal chronometers are synchronized with that.
Golly, what a place this is. A wristwatch is a personal chronometer.
One thing is exactly the same here as in your world.
I'd like to know what it is.
A talkative young fool.
What are you two arguing about now?
Oh, Tex, what's happened to you?
Oh, we were scared. I saw you start to choke and fall.
Jerry ran for me. Then we got G47. He says it was an accident.
I don't like your accidents, Chief.
It was entirely an accident. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing of a serious nature. So long as you remain quiet and do not attempt to escape. Oh, but this is most irregular.
That's irregular enough for me, all right. I'm not in the habit of choking myself to sleep.
That is the irregularity I refer to. You, Jerry Hall, when the 60-second ray was turned on you, you did not choke, did you?
Why, no. Ouch!
Oh, sorry I kicked you, kid. Guess I'm a little clumsy from my nap.
Answer the question, Jerry. G47 is trying to find out something about what happened to Captain Bradford. And answer it carefully.
Very good, madame. I see you are learning the necessity for accuracy in our work.
Well, if there's liable to be any more accidents like this, I think we should all help to clear it up.
Very good. Well, Hall, answer my question. Did you feel a choking sensation from the ray?
I guess I did. I don't know. I did a little, but it happened so quickly. Well, I didn't have time to try and move like Captain Bradford did.
Oh, yes. I think that will be it. You were directly in the path of the ray when I used it on you. But this was a stray beam that escaped from the laboratory. and it must have struck Captain Bradford at a tangent. Then as he fell, he got the full force of the center of the beam.
Well, whatever it was, I've had about enough of it. Shall we go to the yacht now and make ourselves comfortable? You know we haven't any quarters ashore yet.
I was going to suggest that you make your home on the yacht for the time. Some of my assistants have been busy there. You will be observed just as if on the island. And I think you know now what that means.
It means that you can see and hear all we do when you want to. And it would be foolish to try to escape.
Exactly. I may build you permanent quarters on the island tomorrow. Oh, but it takes nearly 1,800 seconds to build a proper apartment for a lady. I cannot spare my assistants tonight.
Boy, half an hour to build a house and he's too busy.
All right, may we go now? I said... Where is he?
He's gone. Just like a breath.
You forget. You can step through any of these walls if the juice is turned off. The walls all move without a sound.
Good boy, Jerry. Keep a level head on your shoulders. We mustn't let this weird stuff get us to believing in ghosts.
That wouldn't be hard to do after seeing and hearing these things. But we must remember that these people are merely clever scientists. And all they have done, we can do.
Now you're talking, Mrs. Gregory. We can figure it all out if we don't get too excited. And I do believe one thing that old Frankenstein told us.
Well, he doesn't bluff. And in his position, he doesn't have to lie to us. So we'd better believe all he tells us.
Yeah, but I meant what he said about being safe as long as we don't try to escape. It was surely lucky you kicked me when we were talking about... Ouch! Oh, gee, I'm sorry.
Watch it, son. Now, Pat, you and Jerry come with me. We'll go back to the yacht for the night.
I wonder if they'd let Joan stay on the yacht with us. If not, I'll spend the night with her on the island.
I imagine it'd be all right, unless she knows too many things about the island. Things she might tell us.
I'll go see G47 and ask him.
May I go, please? You and Captain Bradford go down to the yacht, and I'll get Joan and bring her down there.
We'll hurry over to the yacht, Tex. I can fix my cabin up nicely for Joan, and I want to get some pictures to show her.
Funny place, this island. Seemed about half a mile when we sailed around it, but it's only a few steps to walk across it.
They've certainly used every inch of space here. The whole thing is weird, even the names. Euclidia, G47, Cleostra. Oh, Tex, if we ever get back to the world, what a story we can tell. If we ever get back.
We'll get back. Jerry and Joan ought to be able to find what we were discussing.
There are the lights of the yacht. Yonder. I wonder where the skipper is.
Nothing would get him excited. He's probably having a good sleep in his bunk, waiting to wake up and find it all a dream. Well, here we are, just as we left it. What? Oh, the glasses again, eh?
Someone took my glasses off, too. I didn't even brush against my skin.
But why didn't we see someone before the glasses were taken off?
There are many things on this island that even these glasses will not aid you to see. The young fools will be with you in a moment. Sleep well, my friends. I will watch over you. I will watch over you.
Yes, and he will, too. It looks almost hopeless, Pat.
Now, Tex, remember your own advice. Don't lose your head.
Oh, I know it's all a lot of clever tricks, but they get on your nerves. Those glasses disappearing, for instance. G47 merely had to paint his hands and face, or wore a mask or gloves of some material which would not reflect visible rays through those glasses we had on.
We're going to be allowed to see just what they want us to see, and no more.
The old deck sure sounds good after walking without making a sound for so long.
Sounds like we were back in our own world again.
When Jerry and Joan get here... Say, Pat, I've got it. You remember what we decided?
You mean what we could use to...
Yes. Well, Joan has it. Has it with her right now.
I don't understand.
You will. In less than a minute, I'll be talking to you. And nobody on this island will hear what I say.
When Jerry Hall, Mrs. Gregory, and Captain Bradford sailed from Los Angeles in search of a mysterious hidden island, they found Mrs. Gregory's long-lost little girl, Joan. The rest of their discoveries are almost unbelievable. The Gregory yacht was pulled to the island by a powerful magnetic force and is now tied up there, with all on board prisoners of the mad scientist, G47. Mrs. Gregory and Joan are in one cabin on the yacht, while Captain Tex Bradford and Jerry talk excitedly in the radio cabin.
Yeah, I got it all right, but I still don't see where it's going to do us any good.
Joan didn't come to the door of the cabin, did she? I mean, so that anyone could see she had her mother's dress on.
No, she was so scared of what old G47 would do to her when he found out we had the dress. Well, that she was ready to hide under the bunk.
Well, we'll see to it that G47 doesn't have a chance to do anything to her. Now, we'll have to work fast, because by now someone on the island probably knows we have the dress and heard all we said about it. So hurry and get your head into it. No, not that way. Just pull the skirt over your head. That's better. Now, I'll get under it, too.
Good thing these dresses are plenty big and loose. But it's going to be mighty hot in there awful quick.
And we'll be done with our little job mighty quick.
What good can we do with this dress? You said just now they'd know we had it.
We've got to hurry, so listen closely while I explain it.
This is the nuttiest thing I ever heard of. What would people think if they could see us with a girl's dress wrapped around our heads, using it for a hood?
Well, it may sound foolish, but the material of this dress of Jones is the first ray of hope we've had. Now we can talk in safety and make a few plans for the first time since we hit this island. I knew there must be some way to talk in privacy here.
You mean the stuff this dress is made of will keep out the sound waves? Or whatever it is they use to hear everything that goes on around here?
Yes, Jerry, I'm sure of it. You know, a good scientist never compounds a poison without knowing the antidote. For his own protection, if nothing else. Likewise, a good scientist would never devise a weapon, gas, beam, or ray, one that would be almost universally penetrating or destructive, without first protecting himself, should his own invention ever be turned against him.
But those sound waves they hear through walls and clothing, they're not destructive. Well, they don't hurt anybody, even if they do let old G47 hear all we say.
That's true, but it makes everyone on this island virtually a prisoner. No one has any privacy, even in your own room. Every sound and action is recorded somewhere in their laboratories. Nevertheless, we may safely reason that G47 and his leading assistants, the brains of this mad setup, must have privacy. They conduct their experiments and discuss plans without the remainder of the colony hearing them. They must.
But how do you figure the cloth this dress is made of is the stuff they do it?
Every suit and dress on the islands, every bit of cloth I've seen here is the same stuff.
But G47 put Joan to sleep with that harmless ray just as easy as he did me. And her dress is made of that stuff.
Yes, but if you had been awake to see her get the ray, you would probably have seen him point at her head or hands.
What is this cloth, anyway? I mean, where did he get it?
We'll find out in time, but let's hurry with this plan. Someone might decide to board the yacht just to make sure we're behaving ourselves.
Okay, Tex. What are we going to do?
All right, here's the setup. When we get out from under this dress, we'll take it and put it over the radio. Be sure it's under and around the whole thing.
I got it. Then one of us can put our head inside the dress and work the set. And G47 can't tell we're doing it.
I'm going to let you do this. You know what to say to Johnson if you get him. Give him our position and say to stand by for information on how to rescue us. Tell him not to attempt rescue without instructions.
Gee, then what can Johnson do if I do get word to him?
He can't do anything now, but we've got to figure how to get control of the power on this island. We could use their knowledge for the greatest scientific age in the world. But I feel sure that their intentions are not to aid the world, but to destroy it.
Oh, golly. Let's get going.
Now operate the set on the usual wavelength, and I'll set the directional beam reflector due north. We're outside of the listening post around the inner circle of the island, and this beam won't make the slightest disturbance anywhere except due north. The set is all warmed up now.
All ready now.
All ready, son. And we'll just slip out from under this thing and cover the set with it. Then I'll go out on deck and stroll near this cabin door in case everyone gets curious. Go to it, and don't talk to me again. Don't say anything until you're covered up with that set. Inside this dress now. Then send the message. Now, out we go.
Gee, it's a mighty tight squeeze in here. Guess I'm ready to go. J12C, J12C, J24Y to J12. Jerry Hall on J24Y, calling J12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello, J12. Oh, golly, something's wrong. I can't raise him. Well, guess I'll just have to try again. J12C. Hello.
To J24Y. Hello, J24. Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
Boy, here he is. Hello, J12C. This is Jerry Hall on J24Y. Captain Bradford wants you to get this. Copy it. Repeat. Then stand by. Here it is. Our position. Latitude 29 degrees south. Longitude 124.30 west. Danger here, but do not attempt rescue. Stand by for information on how to rescue us. Get that? Do not attempt rescue without information. Repeat, J12.
J12C to J24Y. Repeating. Your position, 29 degrees south, 124 degrees, 30 minutes west. You are in danger. Standing by for information how to rescue. Confirm, repeat.
Okay, J-12. Repeat, okay. Jerry Hall standing by for Captain Bradford. That's all, J-12. Now I can get out of this dress. Oh, boy. That feels better.
Hello, kid. How did you enjoy your rest?
Oh, I had a swell sleep, Tex. I dreamed I used this radio set again, but nobody was spying on me. I talked to Johnson in Los Angeles, and he knows we're here.
Great dream, son, but there's no chance of it ever coming true the way we're watched. G47 knows all we say and do. I wonder.
Maybe it's one of the crew.
No, they're all asleep.
Shall I open it?
Wait a minute. I'll hide the dress.
Oh, heck.
I might have known it.
You must pardon my rudeness in entering unbidden, but as long as anyone could have seen and heard all you were doing through the portholes you so kindly left open in every cabin, I surmised you were not discussing anything secret.
Just discussing our situation here and wondering how long it'll be before we can get away from this island. You knew we would be discussing that without my telling you.
Precisely. And even if I could not see that you have Cleostra's dress there, I would know that the material of the dress had been used for some purpose.
How would you know that?
Never mind that, Jerry. It's enough that he knows we were using it. And, of course, he knows why we were using it.
You displayed some small intelligence in your ideas about the material, Captain. And you have undoubtedly discovered that the fabric is impervious to beams and rays of our sound and light transmission spectrum.
I have. That didn't take much figuring.
Tomorrow, you may visit the laboratories where the fabric is made. You may have enough of it to drape the inside and outside of this boat, if you wish. I have no desire to intrude upon your privacy. I merely came to warn you that while your childish and unsuccessful attempts to reach the outside world merely amuse me, your first successful attempt will mean your end.
Well, we're going to try just the same. You can't get away with this forever, and you know it.
Steady now, Jerry. No use losing your head about it. Well, G47, I want to tell you plainly that if there is any way I can get my friends out of your grasp, I'm going to attempt it.
You are a fool, Captain. A brave one, possibly, but nevertheless a fool. Your life would mean nothing to me.
I happen to know better, for I have something you want.
Yes, you clever meddler, you have. And you know that I will keep you alive until I wrest your secret from you. The only thing in the universe we Euclideans have failed to master. And as long as you live, I know that in some way, at some time, I will get your secret.
Well, you can't torture it out of me, and you're not a magician. How will you do all this?
The time will come when you will be glad to exchange your secret for the freedom of your friends and yourself.
Nothing doing on that. If Captain Bradford has something you want, we'll stay right on your island for the rest of our lives. All of us. But you'll never get it.
You see how it is, G47? You're just wasting your breath.
Yes, and Joan wants to stay with her mother and the rest of us. She belongs to our world, and she's going back to it with us.
Cleostra may stay with you, and she will save you a lot of worry by telling you as much about the island in an hour as you could learn by watching us work for a month. But she will have to be content with your descriptions of the world. She will never see it, except as a loyal subject of Euclidia, when we Euclideans rule the universe.
Do you mind going now? We've got things to do, and your boasting and bragging gets on my nerves.
It is a pleasure to leave such hopeless company.
Well, Maybe we're not as hopeless as you think.
Quiet, Jerry.
You need not warn the boy, Captain. I heard his little radio message to Johnson.
Gee, the dress was no good, Tex.
So, the dress didn't work, eh?
The material of the dress worked perfectly, but your radio beam was intercepted as it passed through our magnetic fog.
Well, then, if you heard my message to Johnson, why did you let me give him our position and warn him of our danger?
Don't you know that radio message will bring a fleet of battleships down on you if anything happens to us?
On the contrary, you have protected me nicely. Johnson will take orders and execute them accurately. You ordered him not to move in your rescue. Your position means nothing. You had previously given him that as the yacht was held to the magnetic fog. If you had not tried this wild scheme tonight, there was a chance your Los Angeles agents might have acted on their own incentive to rescue you. But you have blocked that yourself. You have prevented your own rescue, and I will prevent your rescue.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And today, as Clark Kent, he hopes to find some trace of Batman and Robin through a strange device he has just found at the Golden Lily. We'll join him in a moment. But right now, here is our good friend, Dan McCullough.
You know, one of the girls in the gang told me the other day that she can't decide which is the most fun, adding a different comic button to her collection when Mom opens a new package of Kellogg's Pep, or getting a duplicate so that she can trade with her friends for a different button. Well, either way, of course, you're getting a new button for your collection, and you're another step on the way toward having all 18 buttons in the series. And what beauties they are. The pictures of your favorite funny paper characters are done up in full comic strip colors on a white enameled metal button just about as big around as a nickel. There's a handy pin on the back, too, so that you can wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap, and everybody can see how many you've collected. What's more, you don't have to let your pals get ahead of you. No, sir, because you can get these comic buttons just as easy as anything. Sure, all you do is to ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Don't send in any money, not even a box stop. But look inside the Pep package for your exclusive prize. One of these dazzling comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. There's a prize for you in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Captured by leaders of the mysterious Crescent and Star mob, whom they believe have knowledge of 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite, the amazing element which robs Superman of all his strength and power, Batman and Robin were placed in a basement room in a bogus sanitarium where the steel ceiling was so built that it slowly descended toward them hour by hour. When they had less than an hour left before the moving ceiling met the floor, Superman, hunting desperately for them, arrived at the Golden Lily nightclub where they had last been seen. Suspecting that Patsy, the recently murdered owner of the club, had been a go-between for the Crescent and Star mob, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent and Police Inspector Henderson, searched the premises thoroughly and were about to give up when Kent discovered a phonograph hidden in a storeroom. As we continue now, Kent, over Henderson's objections, has turned the switch on and is about to play a record found on the phonograph. Listen.
Oh, we haven't time to play records, Kent.
Listen, Inspector. There. You hear that?
So what?
Remember the song?
Of course. All Alone. Irving Berlin wrote it. So what?
I know it sounds silly, but that phonograph record is the answer to our prayers.
What? Are you kidding?
Oh. In a minute or two, the telephone out there in Patsy's office is going to ring. And you are going to answer it.
Oh, yeah? Who will it be?
Someone from the Crescent and Star mob.
From the... What? What did you say?
I said that in a minute or two, we'll get a phone call from someone in the Crescent and Star mob.
Oh, we will, eh? I suppose you're sending out thought waves telling him to call.
Oh, no, not thought waves, Inspector. Radio waves. Come here, look. What's in this cabinet?
Hey.
looks like a shortwave radio transmitter.
That's exactly what it is. It's hooked up to the phonograph, see? And it's beaming the record to the Crescent and Star mob.
Who said it is? How do you know?
I'm sure of it. Look, if Patsy was a go-between for the mob, he had to have some way of contacting them. And this is the way he did it. Do you remember the lyric of the song? It goes, all alone by the telephone. Well, the mob hears the song in their hideout, and one of them calls Patsy.
Hey, you may have something there, Kent.
I'm sure I have. Why doesn't that call come through?
How do you know the transmitter is working?
The tubes are lit. Hey, wait a minute. The record's running out. I'll set it back.
Hey, you're wasting your time, kid. Something just occurred to me.
What's that?
You said the mob went through all this rigmarole to keep Patsy from learning their identities.
That's right.
And yet one of them was here last night in full view of Patsy and everyone else.
I don't follow you.
That girl singer, Gloria Garrett.
Oh, no. I don't think she was a member of the gang.
Oh, no?
No.
Well, she was wearing that crescent and star symbol in her hair, wasn't she?
So what? She was given the symbol and sent here to lead Batman and Robin into a trap.
That doesn't hold water, Kent. If the mob was so careful about their precious identities, they wouldn't take such a chance. They'd know all Patsy or anyone else had to do was to follow the girl, and she'd lead them to the gang.
Well, they probably protected themselves against that.
No, I don't think...
Now, look, Inspector, please stop arguing. I'm sure this is the answer to how Patsy contacted the Crescent and Star mob.
Well, if it is, then why haven't they called?
I don't know. I can't understand it.
Well, I can. And so could you if you weren't such a stubborn fool. Now, come on, let's get back to headquarters. There's no more to be done here.
No, wait, Inspector.
Wait for what?
For the call. We're bound to get it.
Now, listen to me, Kent. I know you're worried about Batman and Robin. So am I. But this isn't the place to find them.
No, but...
Now, come on, it's 10:35 or...
Please, Inspector, wait 5 more minutes. This is the answer. I know it. They have to call.
Well, okay. 5 more minutes, but no more.
Skeptically, Inspector Henderson puffs at his cigar while Clark Kent watches the telephone in the adjoining office, every nerve strained, waiting to pounce on the instrument the moment it rings. Meanwhile, in the long, oak-paneled room at the Bogus Sanitarium, headquarters of the Crescent and Star organization, its leader, a man who calls himself Mr. Jones, sits at his desk beside a hot, glowing fireplace, a shawl thrown over his thin shoulders. His eyes behind rimless pince-nez glasses are as pale and cold as chipped ice. As the door at the end of the room opens, the man known as Mr. Smith, his powerfully built mustached henchman, enters. Mr. Jones reaches for the silver-encrusted atomizer at his elbow and hastily sprays his throat.
You sent for me, Mr. Jones?
Yes. Close the door. You're letting a draft.
If you would listen to me and inhale fresh air instead of this hot
Fresh air
air.
is full of germs. I've told you 1,000 times. But never mind that now. Something I don't understand is happening, Mr. Smith, and I don't like it.
Yes, what is it?
I'll show you. Listen to this.
Oh, why turn on the receiver from the Golden Lily? You know Patsy is dead.
Is he?
Of course he is. Felix and Herbert took care of him early this morning as you directed. You said too many knew of his connection with us now, so...
listen.
What? The signal from the Golden Lily? Well, how can that be?
That's what I want to know. If Patsy is dead, then...
Of course he is dead. Felix and Herbert say so, and they've never failed us.
Then who is trying to contact us from the Golden Lily?
I don't know. Perhaps someone, a porter or a waiter, discovered the transmitting phonograph and turned it on.
Or perhaps the police.
The police?
Yes.
What?
Wait till I turn this off. I've been thinking, Mr. Smith. The police may have found Sidney's silver coin bearing our symbol after his death. They knew Sidney was associated with the Atom Man, so they followed the clue of our symbol to the Golden Lily nightclub.
But how could they without our hearing about it? We know from our informers that only Batman and Robin have been asking for information about the symbol.
Batman and Robin, of course. They often work with the police. It must have been Sidney's coin we found on Batman.
Yes, that could be.
I'm sure of it. Mr. Smith, the police are getting too close for comfort. We've got to get out. What time is it now?
It is exactly 10:37.
When will the little job be finished in room 0?
At exactly 11 o'clock, the ceiling will reach Batman and Robin, where they lie stretched out on the floor. 2 minutes.
Never mind the details. Be in this room at exactly 5 minutes after 11. You and all the others. We'll take our records and money and leave. You understand?
Yes, Mr. Jones.
Wait. Something occurred to me a moment ago.
A short time before Sidney's death, he called us for some information, I understand. I was away at the time, so I suppose you talked with him.
Yes, he wanted to know where the Scarlet Widow would be contacted.
The Scarlet Widow. Now, why... But, of course, the widow...
Well, what about her?
And nothing, Mr. Smith. Just an amusing anecdote I remembered. I suppose we have the widow's present whereabouts in our files.
Yes, we keep a running file on everyone who might be of use to us, as you well know.
Naturally, of course. Go now. Hurry. And be back here as soon as Batman and Robin are finished.
Very well. We'll all be here at 11:05.
Good. I'd better turn this on again. Don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Pulling his shawl closer about his stooped shoulders, the scholarly-looking Mr. Jones rises to his feet, a small ironic smile twisting his thin lips as he listens to the strains of All Alone emerge from the shortwave radio receiver. Scarcely 20 minutes of life remain now for Batman and Robin, and miles away in the Golden Lily nightclub, Clark Kent still waits anxiously for the phone call from the Crescent and Star gang. What will happen? We'll return in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, I've been taking a census of the characters on those swell comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. And here's what I found out. There are 4 girls like Orphan Annie and Lilums, 9 men like Smilin' Jack and Uncle Walt, for instance, 4 young fellows like Herbie and Periwinkle, and 1 dog. That's Sandy, of course. Well, that's a pretty good total, isn't it? 18 different comic strip characters, and they're pictured on sturdy white enamel buttons that you'll have for a long time. And what a thrill it is to get a new button every time Mom opens a new package of Pep. If it's a duplicate, you know, like one you already have, why, that's even more fun, because then you can trade with your pals. These comic buttons look mighty smart, too, when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. So get busy on your collection. Just ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these swell comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. But inside every package of Pep, there's an exclusive prize, one of these gleaming comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
It is exactly 10:42, 18 short minutes before the steel ceiling in Room 0 will complete its descent and close down on Batman and Robin. And miles away in a storeroom at the Golden Lily nightclub, Clark Kent still plays the phonograph attached to the shortwave radio transmitter. Police Inspector Henderson is running out of patience.
Now, look here, Kent. We said we'd wait 5 minutes, and we waited 7.
I know.
You were wrong, admit it. This transmitter is not beamed to the Crescent and Stellar hideout.
Well, I'm sure it is, Inspector.
Confound it, man. Use your head.
I am.
If it is, why haven't they called in by this time to see what Patsy wants?
I don't know. There must be some Wait a minute, of course.
Of course what?
They haven't called in because they know Patsy is dead and they suspect a trap.
How do they know he's dead?
Because they killed him. They rubbed him out.
Hey, I hate to admit it, Kent, but I think you're right.
Sure, we've got to work fast, Inspector. The mob must know someone is onto them now because that record is playing. They'll probably finish Batman and Robin and clear out if they haven't done so already.
Yeah, then what do we do?
I've got an idea. It's a pretty long chance, but it might work.
What's that?
I haven't time to explain now, but look. I want you to stay here, Inspector, and keep playing this record over and over until you hear from me.
Huh? Oh, I don't get it.
Never mind. Just please do as I say, Inspector. It's our only chance. Will you?
Well,
I knew you would. Now just keep playing that record over and over. And keep your fingers crossed. Scowling and puzzled, Inspector Henderson stares after Clark Kent, who rushes from the room. What is Kent's plan? It is now 10:45. Only 15 scant minutes remain before the heavy steel ceiling closes down upon Batman and Robin. What will happen? Tomorrow's episode is a thriller-diller, fellows and girls, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, to follow Superman, Batman, and Robin in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look!
Up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, you'll get a bang out of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 swell Kellogg cereals. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Makes it easy for Mom, too. No dishes to wash. Thanks to the new Kell Bowl Pack. You can eat right out of it. What's more, these generous packages are great for lunch boxes and outings. So ask Mom to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety at the grocer's her very first chance. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcast.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, who is today carrying out a plan he hopes will lead him to Batman and Robin. We'll learn what happens in a moment. But right now, here is Dan McCullough to talk about your collection of comic buttons. Go ahead, Dan.
Say, gang, you know what I think is one of the best things about collecting those comic buttons that now come in packages of Kellogg's Pep? Well, I think it's pretty swell that your fun never stops. It keeps right on and gets more exciting all the time. You see, just as soon as you have one comic button, you're looking forward to getting another one. Or when you've got 6, you're wanting the 7. And right on up until you're ready for your 18th. And, of course, if you should get a duplicate, why, that's even more fun because then you can trade with your friends and still add to your collection. And do you feel smart when you wear your buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap? Why, you feel like strutting around because the colors are so bright against the white background. What's more, these comic buttons are so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy them anywhere. But whenever Mom opens a new package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, there's your exclusive prize. One of these exciting comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Ask Mom to get you P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
In a bogus sanitarium, the headquarters of the mysterious Crescent and Star gang, Batman and Robin face death in a basement dungeon called Room Zero, where the heavy steel ceiling is slowly being lowered until it meets the floor. Meanwhile, in the Golden Lily nightclub in Metropolis, known to be a contact point for the gang, Clark Kent discovered a phonograph attached to a shortwave radio transmitter. On the phonograph was a record of the song All Alone by Irving Berlin. Instructing Police Inspector Henderson to keep playing the record over and over again, Kent disappeared. As we continue now, Batman and Robin lie face down on the floor of Room Zero. The steel ceiling is only a scant few inches above them, with only a few minutes to go before it will have completed its descent to the floor. Listen.
Robin.
If you want me to pass the butter, we're fresh out of it, Pappy.
Cut the wisecracks. I'm afraid this is it.
Looking into your crystal ball again, huh?
Yes, That was the ceiling. Dropped another half inch.
Getting monotonous, isn't it?
Yeah. Robin.
Still here, teacher.
I should have known better than get you into this. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I knew we were stepping into something when we left the nightclub. You're still a youngster. I should have...
Sent me home to bed?
Something like that.
Do you think I would have gone?
Well, no.
Then consider the case closed.
Oh, but just the same...
Oh, will you stop it? You want me to start blubbering or something?
You wouldn't.
Well, if you keep talking this way... Shucks, we've always been together and everything, and if we've got to go out now, well...
I know.
Then let's not talk about it. Uh-oh, another half inch. Not much more to go.
Don't think about it.
Only I didn't have to hear it. The least these high-class goons could do is fix the darn thing so it wouldn't make such a racket.
Yes, they might have furnished us with a last meal. Condemned men are entitled to that.
Yeah. You know the thing I regret most, Batman?
What?
That turkey sandwich we almost had at the Golden Lily last night. I can taste it now. You suppose they put Russian dressing on it?
Well, you said you can taste it. You tell me.
Yep, it's Russian, all right. Very good, too. It needs a little salt, though. Would you mind passing it?
Sorry, no salt. Will the Worcestershire do?
Worcestershire sauce and Russian dressing. I don't think I can afford to be seen with you at Sloppy Joe's Greasy Spoon tonight.
Let's make it the Ritz then, Robin. I feel like slumming.
It's a date. Batman.
Huh?
I guess Jones and Smith weren't bluffing after all.
I guess not. I guess Superman isn't going to get here either.
Superman? You didn't tell me you were expecting him.
Oh, I was clinging to a faint hope till this very minute that Kent would somehow pick up our trail at the Golden Lily. I know we didn't leave any clues, but... Oh, no, skip it. I'm afraid this winds up the last adventure of the Batman and Robin.
Resigned to what they are now sure is their fate, Batman and Robin lie still as the heavy steel ceiling, dropping a fraction of an inch at a time, continues on its murderous mission. But meanwhile, once more in his true identity of Superman, Clark Kent has streaked away from the Golden Lily, and high in the air he is following the shortwave radio beam on which the record, all alone, is being sent from the phonograph transmitter in the nightclub. As he rocketed across Metropolis Harbor, the record was clear and strong. But now, as he streaks into the country, the carrier wave has grown fainter and is almost lost.
Uh-oh. What happened to the beam? Suddenly got weak. This must be a dead spot. I can't afford to lose it now. I can't. Oh, it's still weak. And it keeps fading. Well, it might come in stronger again if I keep going. That's my only hope. Away! There, it's better now. Away!
Like a great red and blue arrow, Superman streaks above the wooded countryside, his cape streaming in the mighty rush of wind. Stronger the key song comes in on the shortwave beam, and stronger. Now it is loud above all else in the Man of Steel's ears as he approaches a large, old-fashioned house set in a grove of trees.
Must be getting close. What's that house I'm coming to? No, soap. That's the sanitarium. Oh, wait. There's a huge aerial on the roof. Yes, and what are those men in the house rushing from room to room, packing suitcases? What's going on down there? Great Scott, that room in the basement. Batman and Robin. Down to them. Down!
Like a meteor plummeting through space, Superman crashes down through the bogus sanitarium to the heavy oaken door outside room 0. One wrench and the great door is torn. Then, seizing the edge of the steel ceiling, which even now is beginning to press fatally upon Batman and Robin, the Man of Steel raises it with one hand.
There. All right. Come on, Batman, Robin. Crawl out while I hold the ceiling up. That's it. Now hurry outside the door of the room so I can let it drop.
Christopher Columbus. Look, Batman, it's...
Oh, the Marines have landed. Oh, I was beginning to think you missed the boat, Superman.
Well, I almost did. What are you fellas trying to do? Cheat a tailor out of a pressing bill?
Oh, we were about to discover how it feels to be a pancake.
Uh-oh, get behind me. Here comes trouble. Greetings, gentlemen. I'll take those guns, please.
Take some for me, Superman.
The guy with the fat mouth. Oh, he's mine.
Felix,
Look out behind you, Robin. Okay, I've got him. And I've got this one. Oh, Jim's going to see it falls on you.
Nice going, Robin. Uh-oh, hit the floor. Batman's throwing a bead on you. Don't shoot. Joe, I shed bullets like a duck sheds water. Give me that gun. Okay. Looks like the show's over, boys. 1 up and 10 down. I don't see any more in the house.
Oh, I think that's the work, Superman. Did we get Jones?
What?
I didn't spot him.
He must be in the pile somewhere. Turn Smithy loose, will you, Superman? I've got a little something I've been saving up for him.
No, I have enough. I give up. I cannot fight Superman.
But you can fight me, you big gorilla. I'm going to knock
Relax, Robin. There's something more important here. I can't find Jones.
Who's Jones?
Their number 1 man. Smith here's number 2. Where is he, Smith?
He said to meet him in the conference room.
Well, that's right over here. Come on.
Nobody in the conference room.
You're right. It's empty. Where is he, Smith?
I don't know. He said he'd be here. We were going to leave as soon as
Batman and I were finished, huh?
Never mind that. If Jones isn't one of the men on the floor in the next room...
He isn't.
Well, then he got away. There's nobody else in this house.
Uh-oh.
But Mr. Smith here, who you say is the number 2 man of the gang, ought to serve our purpose. Now, look, fella. Talk straight and talk fast. Where are the 2 pieces of kryptonite?
The what?
Don't look so innocent. You know what we mean.
I don't know what you're talking
Now,
about.
look here,
Just a minute,
Smith.
Batman. He may be telling the truth. But he can tell us how to find it by telling us where the Scarlet Widow is. She has the 2 pieces of kryptonite, or she knows where they are.
Well, Smith, speak up. Where's the Scarlet Widow? Come on, we're waiting.
Looks like he's seeing a ghost.
What's the matter with you, Smith?
Look! Look at what?
There!
I don't see anything.
Neither do I.
I do. Something tells me it's bad news. Come here. I'll show you.
Puzzled, Batman and Robin follow Superman and Smith, who walk straight to the blazing fireplace. What has happened now? We'll return in a moment to find out. But first, here again is your announcer.
Say, you fellows and girls know what a kick you get out of meeting up with one of your friends unexpectedly. Well, you get the same sort of thrill when Mom opens a new package of Kellogg's Pep. First off, you're glad to have more of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal to eat. And when you get one of those swell comic buttons in the Pep package, you're meeting up with an old funny sheet friend. Yes, every single one of these comic strip characters is someone that you've known in the funny papers, like Moon Mullins, for instance, with his big black cigar and his eyes a-popping, or a curly-headed orphan Annie in a bright red dress, or Superman himself, looking just as strong and just as handsome as he does in the comic strips, because these pictures are done up in full, bright colors, so your favorite characters look just as natural as can be. The buttons look mighty slick, too, when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. So how's about asking Mom right now to get you some more Kellogg's Pep? That's how easy it is to get these comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop. You just look inside the Pep package for your prize, a gleaming comic button or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In the conference room of the Crescent and Star gang, Superman and Mr. Smith, the number 2 man of the gang, have led Batman and Robin to the fireplace in which a huge log burns. One of the large stones alongside the fireplace seems slightly out of place. Bending swiftly, Superman touches it and it slides aside, revealing a deep vault.
Well, what do you know? A vault.
Right, Robin. This is what you were looking at, weren't you, Smith?
Yes. I saw it had been opened and... Yes, look. Everything has been removed. The files and the money. Oh, I was afraid of that. Mr. Jones acted very strangely when I spoke to him half an hour ago. He must have taken the files and money and escaped.
Never mind the money. What about the files? What were they?
The records we kept of the location of everyone who might be of value to us.
Was the Scarlet Widow in those files?
Yes, of course.
Don't you know where she is?
Oh, there were thousands of names in our files. How could I remember everyone?
Uh-oh.
Well, where do we go from here, Superman?
I don't know. It looks like we've reached the dead end of a one-way street.
Helplessly, Superman, Batman, and Robin stare at the empty vault of the Crescent and Star gang. What can they do now with the only clue to the Scarlet Widow and the 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite in the hands of the cunning Mr. Jones, who has disappeared? Have all their efforts been in vain? And will the possessors of the kryptonite do what Superman most fears? Create another human atomic monster? Or something even more terrible? Fellows and girls, there's danger, excitement, and mystery directly ahead for Superman and his 2 friends, Batman and Robin. So don't fail to be with them tomorrow when they take up the trail of the Scarlet Widow and Mr. Jones. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, here's some razzle-dazzle news to flash to Mom. Kellogg's Variety is back. So now, everybody at the breakfast table can have the Kellogg's cereal he likes best. For Kellogg's Variety is that grand variety carton holding 10 generous packages of 6 favorite Kellogg's cereals. Are they delicious? And does Kellogg's Variety make breakfast fun? Why, it's better than a grab bag because you get what you really want. Today, ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety, the package that makes breakfast a picnic. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcast.
Suspense, which is usually heard at this hour on Thursday nights, is taking its customary summer holiday. Suspense returns to the air 2 weeks from tonight, on Thursday, September 1st.
You are standing at the doorway of a cabin on Cashier Creek. Up on the ridge, the bloodhounds have caught your scent, and between you and a fortune, between you and escape, you're on the white jaws of a deadly cottonmouth.
We offer you Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight, we escape to the worn-out acres of a poor farm somewhere in the southern mountains with Irvin S. Cobb's great tale of vengeance, Snake Doctor.
Far back in the southern mountains, it's quiet and hot and lonely. One pine-scarred hill is very much like the next, and one winding creek differs little from another. The area through which Cashier Creek twisted was the same as all the rest, except for the snakes. Deadly, venomous, cottonmouths moccasins. There are probably more snakes along Cashier Creek than anywhere else. Most people lived in constant, deadly fear of these snakes, but there was one man who even seemed to like them. A man they called Snake Doctor. His cabin was near the creek bottom where the cottonmouths were the commonest, and he earned his meager living by rendering down their soft fats, bottling their oil, and selling it. Snake Doctor seemed harmless enough, but there was one man who believed he was a colleague of the devil, who hated him, because he wasn't afraid of the snakes. This man was Jafe Mourner, the Snake Doctor's nearest neighbor. Jafe was that dangerous kind of man who suspected, feared, and hated anything he didn't understand. And he understood neither cottonmouths nor the Snake Doctor. Jafe was ornery, ignorant, and shiftless. He'd rather shoot squirrels than chop cotton. He'd rather fish than hoe corn. And that's what he's doing now. Fishing down at the Big Hole with his son and heir, Finney, who's old enough, but not quite bright enough to handle a gun.
Missed him, doggy.
Finney, you blamed fool. I told you not to touch my gun.
Trump on him, Pa, before he gets in the creek.
What?
The cottonmouth.
What?
Trump on him in front of you.
Cottonmouth. The varmint. The unugly varmint.
You got him, Pa. Keep your foot on him. We'll stuff at the stick.
You don't need to, son. He's dead. Now, come here.
Pa, how'd he hit anything with that rifle? I had a bead draw right on him, and I...
You darn fool.
Do that for Pa.
Stirring up that filthy snake whilst I'm a-fishing.
Heck, he was sunning himself not more than 2 feet from you. He was just 2 feet from you.
Never mind that kind of talk. Won't be no fish around here till thunderation after all that racket. Well, come on, let's go home and get us some victuals.
Jafe Mourner tossed his bait can into the creek and threw a stick after it. He stood there watching the stick drift slowly toward the big hole where the creek widened behind a jam of driftwood. Jafe watched as the eddy caught the stick and sucked it beneath the dam. Jafe was curious. He moved downstream a rod or two and waited, watching the water boil up from under the driftwood. But the stick didn't come up. That was strange. It must have caught under there in a tangle of water-soaked and sunken logs. Probably it'd stay there for months. Perhaps stay there always.
Let's get some milk, Pa.
Jay thought about this, and an idea began to form in his slow mind as he and Finney started for home.
How much oil you reckon's in this, and Pa? Daddy?
What you jawing about?
This old cotton man. How much oil you reckon?
Throw it down.
Throw it down? Why for? I'm going to...
Throw it down like I say.
Oh? I was aiming on rendering the old cottonmouth fat like the snake doctor does. I was going to sell it and make myself some money.
I don't like the squirming things around me.
But it's dead.
Leave it where it dropped.
You scared on cottonmouths, Pa?
I know better than to get myself bit by him.
Hip Bailey knowed a fella got himself bit once. Wearing a drap of liquor for miles. So he goes to work and he cuts open a live chicken. And he put it on his leg where the bite was. Fella lived, too. Reckon Mr. Rives ever gets himself bit? I mean, handling cottonmouths like he does?
Who?
Mr. Rives.
Who?
Mr. Rives. That's old Snake Doctor's real name. Ma says I oughtn't call him Snake Doctor.
Never mind what your ma says. Nobody in my family's calling no snake-loving scum Mr. Rives.
Heck, that's what I say.
All right.
Could have made myself some money rendering that cottonmouth fat down in the oil. How much you reckon old Snake Doctor makes out in oil he sells?
I don't know.
Tip Bailey says old Snake Doctor's got more than $1,000 hid away somewhere in his cabin.
More than that, most likely. Cussed old miser don't spend nothing. Ain't got nothing save that rack of bones mare his.
Tip Bailey says whenever old Snake Doctor sets foot out in his place, he's got the granddaddy of all cottonmouths that he leaves out in the cabin to stand guard over his money.
Yeah.
Tip Bailey says he'd see old Snake Doctor put him in his pocket. Live ones, too.
Snake Doctor ain't fitting to be live himself.
Ma says he ain't so bad. Says he don't mean nobody harm.
Your ma better be careful who she's associating with.
She says he just don't have good sense. Had the fever too much. Daddy, you ever been in Snake Doctor's place?
I don't have nothing more than I have to do with that snake-loving hoodoo.
Tip Bailey says he'd bet it wouldn't be no task at all for some no good to poke around the Snake Doctor's shack and maybe find all the money and make off with it. Blame son's darn near rendering me down. Look at my hair. Full of sweat. Look, Daddy.
Huh?
See? Full of sweat. Darn near a guard full of sweat come off. Why turning down that way, Pa? Coming on noon, dinner be most ready.
I'm going to tell the snake-loving hoodoo that there's some of them cottonmouths on the creek side of our deadening.
Heck, he knows that.
I'm going to tell him he's got my leave to catch him. You don't need to come along.
Well, if you're going over to his place, I'd kind of like to see it for my own sake. Go on in, Pa. He ain't at home. Elsewise, he'd have showed himself by now.
I reckon.
Can you see any snakes?
I told you to keep an eye out for her.
I bet it's in one of them chinks, Pa. Pa, I bet the money's in one of them.
I ain't looking for no money. Must be a dang snake itself, living in a place like this.
I know you ain't looking for any money, Pa, but if you was, wouldn't you look at that chink right up there?
Where?
Right there, second log by the fireplace on the right. You see that there hole?
Yeah. I reckon I would look up there.
Since we're here...
I might as well see for myself.
Pa, I wouldn't be a mite surprised if old Snake Doctor had him... Pa?
Was you looking for something, Jake Marner?
Snake Doctor?
Yeah. I was looking for you. I want here. Yeah. Look here, you old hoodoo. What's the idea of sneaking up on folks who's took the trouble to come all the way down here to do you a favor, huh? Come on, Fenny. We're getting out of here.
Yes, sir. Like as not, they had a dang old moccasin squirching around in his pocket while she was talking to you. Daddy, do you mind how his eyes was when he come in? Do you mind how I kept looking up at the wall where I said I bet he had the money between the chinks?
Benny.
What?
Don't you say nothing to your ma about us being at the snake doctor's place, you understand?
Why should
well,
I?
Just don't. And don't you go nigh it again. Cuss old varmint. You'd have thought we was prowlers the way he acted.
Yeah, prowlers. Ma, dinner about ready.
You Paul with you, son?
Yeah, I got time enough for dinner to go down the spring and get me some cold water.
If you stir your stumps, you can. Catch innocent, Jeff?
You think I can catch fish with Fetty flying off my gun at cottonmouths all the time?
Ain't this heat more than a body can bear? Ain't a quarter but the creek. That poor old Miss Rives come by here a spell ago and mighty nigh shook to pieces with a chill.
Oh. He come by, did he? Well, did he come in?
Just for a minute.
Just for a minute, huh? What'd he want?
He wanted could have given something for his ailment. Just about could drag one soft foot afore the other. Barely could make it up here from his place. I'll give him a dose out in our butler's acre drops. Or give him a little smidgen of liquor, only I couldn't...
you would, huh?
Please don't, Jeff. Don't whop me. Don't, Jeff, don't whop me. Just poor old Mr. Ives.
Mr. Ives. Mr. Ives. How many times I gotta tell you that old hoodoo's name is Snake Doctor?
You don't mean nobody no harm.
He made his skin of lostwit's hide and tallow, and you calling him Mr. Ives. Huh. You be calling him honey and sugar next. Without I learn you.
Please, Jeff, please.
Pet names, huh? Well, I aim to... What's his name now? Well? What's your poor Mr. Rives' name now?
Snake Doctor.
Kizzy Mona rubbed the ugly red welt on her scrawny arm and gave the frying pan full of sizzling side meat a hopeless nudge. She prayed that time and food might take the edge off Jake's temper. Finney slouched in from the spring, saw the mark on her arm.
Pa been whomping you again, Ma? What'd you do this time?
She silently dished up the hogback and cornbread for her two men. While they sat at table, she ate on her feet, serving them between bites, as was the custom in the Morna household. After dinner, Finney stretched out under the chinaberry tree, and Kizzy sat on the porch, fanning herself and dipping snuff with a peach twig, scouring it back and forth on her gums. Jave took his ease on the floor of the back room, but he didn't sleep. The meanness was stirring in him, and his hatred of the man he couldn't understand, the man who'd got rich off a cottonmouth. His mind was working on something he'd seen that day and another thing he'd heard. He was adding them together. That stick had disappeared under the log jam, and the snake doctor's money. It was 4 o'clock before any of them moved, and then Jake spoke to his wife for the first time since noon.
Kizzy, where's that there vial of drinking liquor?
By the window. You took it out in your pocket before you laid down.
I ought to carry a vial of liquor with me. I might get bit by a moccasin as soon as Pa would.
You better not let me catch you. You find it, Jake?
Yeah, I just remembered. I won't be needing to tote no spits along with me while I'm going.
I wouldn't take no chance, Dave. Just one cottonmouth bite.
Cottonmouths all down the slashes, else along a creek. Well, I'll be all this evening's up along Bailey's Ridge in the high ground.
You fixing to go shooting?
Ain't the gummy a chance of young squirrels twixt now and dusk time. Heard them barking all around me this morning.
Reckon I'll come along, Pa.
You staying here, son.
Oh, dang it. You'll be steaming in the place when the rain comes down. Paul, you might be needing me just...
You stay here. Dang. Kizzy, you set me up a snack of cold supper on the chef. Likely I won't get back till it's plumb dark.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Escape. But first, that wonderful variety show with a purpose, CBS's 1 hour-long program, This is Broadway, will be round again tomorrow night on most of these same stations. Comedian Abe Burrows, Broadway playwright George S. Kaufman, Master of Ceremonies Clifton Fadiman will all be here, playing host to the top stars of show business. Hear these top stars and their top acts. Then listen closely as the expert showmen on This is Broadway help them with show business problems. And now, we return to the second act of Escape and tonight's story, Snake Doctor.
Jafe Morn had turned north through his struggling cornrows, and in a minute he was lost from sight. He kept on for nearly a mile till he came to a wild red mulberry tree. Where there are mulberries, there are bound to be squirrels. Very neatly, he shot 2 young grays right through the head. But Jafe was a master marksman. And unsuspected by any who knew him, Jafe had another quality. One that made him more dangerous than the rest of his kind. Jafe had an imagination. Today it was in excellent working order. He tied the brain squirrels together and swung them over his shoulder. If needed, they'd be his alibi. And then he sat down under a tree for a while.
Got plenty of time. Don't need to get down to Snake Doctor's place till about dusk. When he comes out to feed that swayback mare of his. Mr. Right.
He sat out 2 brisk thunder showers and the intervals between them. And then he set off in a wide arc down Bailey's Branch along the skirts of Little Cypress Slash down to the sunken flats edging Cashier Creek. It took more than an hour of careful traveling before he came to his destination. A screen of haw bushes, less than 50 yards behind the Snake Doctor's cabin.
No matter how ailing he is, you get up and come out to feed that rack-a-bones mare. Mr. Eyes. Well, I'll learn him to go colleaguing around another man's woman.
Jafe Morner let his jealousy heat him to white hatred. At this moment, he was avenging his honor. Didn't admit even to himself that the real reason he was here was the Snake Doctor's money, hidden behind the log by the fireplace.
Home-wrecking, snake-loving varmint. 10 minutes from now, I'll chunk him down a big hole in the creek like I did that stick this morning. And he'll go down and never come up. And nobody will miss him. Nobody will know he's gone for leastwise a week, maybe a month. And maybe if I get around to it, I might come back his way someday. Poke around that cabin of his and just to see if it's true, his having all that money hid away.
Jafe Morner's speculations were cut short. The cabin door opened and a figure stepped out into the growing dusk and walked toward the stable. He saw the Snake Doctor's loppy old straw hat. At this distance, he couldn't miss. And he didn't. The figure jerked backward and then went face forward. Jafe started for him, then he stopped. His eyes bugged. His mouth formed a scream that he couldn't utter. His rifle dropped to the ground. He had just killed the Snake Doctor, killed him dead with a .32 caliber slug through the head. And there on his door still stood Snake Doctor, whole and sound, staring at him.
Jafe Morner, what have you done?
The scream came at last, for Jafe Morner had seen the devil. The Snake Doctor who arose alive from his bullet-riddled body. Jafe whirled and ran into the deep, darkening woods, whimpering like a whipped puppy as he tore through the brush. Escape. He must escape this thing. He must get under the shelter of a sound roof. He must have the protection of 4 walls around him. He ran and ran for hours. It was close to midnight when he came out on a dirt road a short distance southeast of his own land. Beyond the next bend, he'd be in sight of home. And then he stopped. Around the bend, coming toward him, was a joggling light, a lantern hanging on a buggy. Jake flattened himself in a clump of brush to hide until the traveler passed. And then, just as the rig was opposite him, he heard a call coming from the other direction.
Hello there! Who's jogging?
Oh, there. Oh, steady, boy. Me, Davis Ware. That you, Tip Bailey?
Yes. Hope you're there from the junction. Tolerable tired. What brings you out this time of night, Davis? Somebody sick?
Sick nothing. There's been a parcel of trouble popping in these bottoms tonight. Steady, boy. Steady.
What do you mean?
A killing. That's what I mean.
You don't say. Who got killed?
I'm fixing to tell you. It happened just around dusk time down at old snake doctor's place.
Yeah? Was it him was killed?
Give me time, Tit. It seems like snake doctor's been a chillin' lately.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty bad off today, so Miss Kizzy Morner, she footed it down from her place to his'n, fetching some physic with her and a plate of hot victuals.
You might have thought it, Miss Morner. Might have thought it.
You want to hear this?
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, boy. Well, pretty soon after she got there, it seemed like he was tired, and he tried to get up out of his bed to go and feed that old crowbait nag of his'n. It started in again by then, pouring down hard, so she made him stay where he was, and she put on his old hat and throwed his old coat around her, and she wanted to keep out of the wet, and no more, and she got outside, and a shot came from the edge of the woods, and down she went with a bullet through her brains.
Killed her?
Kizzy. The dog.
It was
Kizzy. Who done it?
It was that low-flung husband of hers done it, that's who.
They certain it was him?
Sure thing. Oh, boy. Sure thing, they're certain. Snake doctor jumped up when he heard the shot, and he catched a quick look at Jafe over the fence. There wasn't a long streak in Kiz's arm where he must have whopped her during the day.
Why, hanging's a sight too good. Did they catch him?
No, but they gonna.
Sheriff get there yet?
Oh, but he's due any minute with his pack of hound dogs.
Oh.
Trail ought to lay good. Ground being damp the way it is.
Oh, for sure.
Old snake doctor, he's a saying the Lord's going to strike the murder down in his track.
Amen.
But me, I'm a putting my main dependence on them bloodhounds.
Oh, poor Miss Marner. She always was a good-hearted, hard-working woman.
Kizzy.
And mightily put
She's
upon
dead.
by that skunk.
I shot Kizzy.
Say, did you hear something just then?
Say I did.
Yeah. Oh, probably a rabbit breaking through the brush, huh?
Listen.
Yeah?
The sheriffs are coming.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear them hounds of his'n?
Oh, just for sure.
I gotta hurry. Get out, Bessie. Come on.
I'll see you back at the morning.
You sure will.
Jafe didn't waste no time mourning his dead wife. He had a chance against a pack of bloodhounds if he started right away. But Jafe's imagination went to work again as he backtracked along the creek bottom in the spotty moonlight.
Gotta throw those dogs off the trail. He gotta wade the creek, even if it is full of cotton mounds. Must be all around me now. Folks say don't strike in the water. Hope them folks is right. Yeah, I've got to get back to the snake doctor's. Get his money while he's still up at my place with Kiz's remains. Get his money and the rest will be easy. I'll make for the deep timber, cross country to the river, make it for tomorrow sundown. Hire me a shanty boater to ferry me to the Arkansas side. Will get me a haircut and catch me a train for somewhere else. And I gotta get snake doctor's money first.
Snake doctor's cabin was dark and empty when Jafe reached it. Only a few dull embers in the fireplace. But he knew where the chink was. He'd find it in the dark. He scrabbled at the logs, felt some bark give, felt the clay mortar crumble under his fingernails. There it was, a hole big enough for a man's arm. He plunged his hand into it, touched something slick and smooth, and then something sharp plunged into his thumb. At that moment, the fire flickered to life. Jafe yanked his hand out of the hole, saw two tiny bleeding punctures in his thumb. At the mouth of the hole stretched the wide-open jaws of a cottonmouth. It worked fast. He felt the pain leaping from his thumb to his hand, seeping up his arm. If only he had some liquor. If he had a fresh-killed chicken to slap on the wound, but he had nothing. Then a sharp, horrible pain wrenched his heart, and then a second. And there in the firelight, the huge cottonmouth poised in its crevice. Jafe leaped out of the shack, started blinding for the timber. He staggered, stumbled, then he pitched forward on his face, his open mouth full of weeds and muddy grass stems. The cramping fingers of his outstretched right hand almost touched a reddish-black smear on the wet, trampled grass.
Good riddance, by gravy. I'd call it that, wouldn't you, Doc?
I reckon there's a sort of rough justice in the way he died. Look, his hand reaching out, just about touching the blood where his woman fell. But in all my life, I've never known but 2 or 3 people actually was bitten by water moccasins. And until tonight, I've never had personal knowledge of anybody dying from the bite of any kind of snake.
It's a fact.
You know that crazy. I'm going to take that rifle off of you, Finny Mourner. I'm going to kill the dang reptile that killed my paw.
That Mourner's boy kicking up the fuss?
Yep, and no good like his paw.
Let go of me. I'm my own boss now.
What's the trouble, Tip?
Oh, Finny here's went out in his hay. I'm going to kill the snake that bit in my paw. Then I'm going to give that snake doctor a whomping for keeping a reptile in this place.
Your pa got what was his due, Finny. Snake doctor ain't to blame.
He's a hoodoo devil.
Looky here, boy. Mr. Rives give me all his savings, nearly $100, to pay for burying your mother decent. That's how much he thought of her. Now go on home. Behave yourself.
I'm going to get Go on, Finny. There ain't no reason for you hanging around here. Somebody ought to kill a reptile that bit in my paw.
Doc, just a minute ago you started to say something about snake bite not killing. But how about them 2 marks on his thumb? Them snake's gashes like some I've seen.
No, that don't explain how it...
Oh, it's Finny Mourner. He's in the cabin.
A fool kid. Come on, Doc. He's probably shot.
We're too far out.
I shot him! But I just hit it! It's going to get me like he got my paw!
Said he shot at something in the cabin. Come on, Doc. Let's go see.
All right, we'll find out. I don't see anything.
Oh, Finney's had enough happen to him yesterday and today to upset even a bright boy. So we can't... Oh. There it is.
What?
That cottonmouth up there in that hole in the log.
Oh, that. Snake doctor told me about that varmint. Look at him closer, David.
No, sir. Not me.
Go ahead. It's just a stuffed snake.
Stuffed?
Mm-hmm. Snake doctor believes in precautions because that hole's where he hides his money. That snake would scare away anybody who didn't know it was stuffed. But just to be sure, old snake doctor lined the hole with coils of barbed wire.
Oh, I see. You mean them marks on Jafe's thumb got off the barbed wire?
That's right, sir. Lots stronger hearts than Jafe Mourner's would stop beating at a scare like that.
Well, I'll be switched. Old snake doctor's a cute one, ain't he?
Escape, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Tonight brought you Snake Doctor by Irvin S. Cobb, adapted for radio by Fred Howard, starring Bill Conrad as Jafe with Paul Frees as Finney. Featured in the cast were Ira Grossell as the narrator, Bill Lally, Ruth Parrott, Wilms Herbert, and Edgar Barrier. Music is conducted by Wilbur Hatch.
Next week, you are groping through the midnight dimness of a gigantic department store, and suddenly you realize that 100 eyes are staring at you from the shadows, and 100 hands are reaching for your throat, and your most urgent desire is to escape.
Next week, we escape with John Collier's story, Evening Primrose. Be with us next week at the same time when once again we offer you Escape. Ethelbert is at the bar, and Ann and Casey are about to enter on another thrilling crime photographer adventure. Tonight it's a story entitled Big Danger, and it'll be along on most of these same CBS stations in just a moment. This is John Jacobs speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense, which is usually heard at this hour on Thursday nights, is taking its customary summer holiday. Suspense returns to the air next week on Thursday, September 1st.
You are groping through the midnight darkness of a gigantic department store. 100 eyes are staring at you. 100 hands are reaching for you. And your most urgent desire is to escape.
We offer you Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight we escape to a fantastic world of night dwellers, as John Collier imagines it in his eerie story, Evening Primrose.
Sadie. Sadie, what's the matter? It's me.
Oh, you nearly scared me to death. What do you mean coming in so quiet?
I didn't mean to scare you. I thought you'd be asleep. I didn't want to wake you.
Oh, Sam, I'm glad you're home.
Hey, what's the matter?
Oh, it's terrible. You gotta do something, Sam.
What's terrible?
It's this. Just look at this.
What's terrible about that? Looks like an ordinary pad of paper to me.
That's just it. That's what I thought, too. But it's got writing in it. It's awful.
Now, wait a minute. Maybe you better tell me what this is all about.
Well, today I went shopping at Bracey's department store.
Yeah?
I needed some writing paper, so I picked this up. It was on top of the pile, and I bought it, and I brought it home.
So?
But tonight when I opened it, I found it's got writing in it.
Well, that's nothing so terrible. Just take it back tomorrow and make them give you a new one.
No, you don't understand. It's what's written in it that's so terrible.
What do you mean, what's written in it?
Here, you gotta read it.
Oh, Sadie.
No, right now. Now read it.
Look, Sadie, I'm tired. I've been bowling all evening.
Please, Sam, please. Just read it.
All right. Ah, for Pete's sake.
Sam.
October 13th. Today I made my decision. I decided to say goodbye to the world. To get out, leave, break away. And I have done... Ah, Sadie, this
Sam.
is... And now I am free. Really free. Yes, I am free at last.
The world is an intolerable place for a poet. I was broke, starving at my wits' end. And then I had the brilliant idea. I'd escape to a place where I had no need to earn a living, where I could write to my heart's content in peace and security, and where everything was free. And where is this place? Right under your nose. So close you'd never think of it. I am now living in Brace's department store. I arrived this afternoon. I had spent 3 days looking over all of the department stores in town. I decided on Brace's because of the completeness of their food department. Therefore, this afternoon I entered the store and went immediately to the 4th floor to the rug department and hid myself in the dusty, out-of-the-way corner behind a pile of carpet. After the store closed, I tiptoed as far as the stationery counter and got this paper, the writer's primary need. Now, after making my first entry, I'll stroll around the store and get food, wine, the pillows for my bed, perhaps a fancy dressing gown. Oh, this is perfect. Here I'll be able to write. Dawn, October 14th. I am almost too unnerved to write this. The whole thing is unbelievable. After the store was dark and completely quiet, I crept out and started for the food department. One's steps echo hollowly in an empty department store at night, and I found myself gliding along the floor on tiptoe, silently as possible. But the sound of footsteps persisted, and suddenly I realized they were not my own. The night watchman. I was in the salon moderne. Quickly, I seized a mink coat from my hanger, draped it about my shoulders, and stood stock still. I could have reached out and touched him, but he passed without so much as a glance. I started to smile, but the smile froze on my lips. I was looking straight into a pair of eyes. Large, flat, luminous, inhuman eyes. A dozen feet away. They belonged to a creature dressed as a man, but he was as pale as something found underneath a stone. His hands, hanging motionless at his sides, looked more like the fins on a fish than human hands.
Not bad.
Huh?
For a beginner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know anybody else lived here.
Oh, yes. We live here. It's delightful.
We?
Yes, all of us. Don't you see?
Huh?
Look around you.
I looked around and saw nothing. I looked again and saw an old one come clambering out from behind the clock. There were three elderly ingenues, incredibly emaciated, pale as lace, almost transparent, simpering before a perfume counter. A chintzy lady swam out from the curtains and drapes, and they came swarming, thick around me, pale, thin, wispy, moving silently, fluttering like gauze in the wind, whispering.
A detective. Send for the dark man.
They were pressing around me, clawing, holding me, their pale faces contorted with venomous, inhuman hatred. I was paralyzed. All I could do was repeat over and over again. I'm not a detective. I'm not. I'm not a detective or a burglar. I'm a poet.
Then what are you doing here?
I renounced the world. I came here to live where I could be alone, away from the world.
Why, then he's come over to us. He's just like us. Come over to us, the poet. He must meet Mrs. Vanderpant. Yes, Mrs. Vanderpant. She's coming now.
I followed their eyes toward the balcony, and the hair on my neck rose again. There, coming down the wall like an ancient spider, clambered an old lady, wrinkled and cracked and emaciated. She must have been at least 80, a shadowy matriarch, and the things around me bowed and scraped as she reached the floor and floated toward us.
What's going on here? Where is that stupid girl? What's keeping her?
Oh, Mrs. Vanderpump.
Well, what is it? Who's this, Mr. Roscoe?
Mrs. Vanderpump, may I present Mr.
Snell. Charles Snell.
Yes, Mr. Snell is a poet. He has come here to live.
Oh, he has he?
That's what he says, and I believe him.
Well,
He avoided the night watchman quite neatly. For a beginner.
Thank you.
Very well. We shall see. A poet would find inspiration here.
Mr. Snell, Mrs. Vanderpump is our grand old lady.
I am quite the oldest inhabitant here, Mr. Snell. 3 mergers and a complete rebuilding. But they didn't get rid of me. Where is Ella? Where is my blouse?
She is bringing it, Mrs. Vanderpump. It will come.
Terrible little creature. She's our foundling, Mr. Snell. She's not quite our sort.
Is that so?
I have been here, Mr. Snell, ever since the terrible times of the 80s. I was a young girl then. A beauty, they said. And poor Papa lost his money. Braces meant a lot to a young girl in those days. So when I wasn't able to have a charge account, I came here to live. Well, that's better than a charge account. I was quite alarmed when others began to come after the crash of 1907. But it was the dear judge,
How do you do?
the colonel, Mrs. Bilby.
How do you do?
Mrs. Bilby writes plays.
Oh.
And comes of an old Philadelphia family. Oh, you will find us quite nice here, Mr. Snell.
I'm sure I will.
And, of course, all our dear young people came in 1929. Oh, their poor papas jumped from skyscrapers. They couldn't bear to be without charge accounts either.
All these nice people live here?
Oh, and many more.
Oh, here comes Ella with my broth. Come, you stupid thing.
Yes, come, Ella, come.
Yes, sir, I'm coming as fast as I can. Here. On the table over there, Ella. Be careful. Don't spill it.
Oh, but she is young.
Well, of course, she is a little younger than most of us.
And she's different. She's beautiful.
That's right. She's really not our sort.
Well, you shouldn't say such things. She can hear you.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Mrs. Bilby, please. You'll understand these things better after you've been here a while, Mr. Snell.
But it seems to me that...
Mr. Snell, we have certain rules here. They are necessary for our survival. I'm sure you won't find it hard to observe them.
Yes, but
I
Mrs.
should advise that you try. If you do not, it would be most unfortunate, Mr. Snell. Most unfortunate.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Escape. But first, if you want lots of stars, you won't have to look through a telescope or be hit over the head. All you have to do is tune in over most of these same CBS network stations next Monday night and every Monday night thereafter, and you'll find all the stars. They'll be on the Lux Radio Theater, playing in radio adaptations of your favorite motion pictures. Don't forget the Lux Radio Theater, one of 5 great shows on CBS every Monday night. And now we return to the second act of Escape, and tonight's story, Evening Primrose.
October 15th. I planned to quit my hiding place, mingle with the crowds, and leave Braces forever. But just at dawn, Mr. Roscoe brought me a cup of coffee, which must have been drugged, for I fell asleep. And when I awoke, night was closing over the store once more. Later, I had spent my second night here. I saw Ella again. Ella, the pearl of this remote, fantastic cave. She's not like the others. A trifle pale, but otherwise normal and human and beautiful. A child of perhaps 18. She's the only thing that makes this nightmare bearable. October 20th. Escape is impossible because of the dark men. Who are the dark men? I don't know. But the inhabitants threaten any transgressor with these dark men. Speaking to the night watchman would be suicide. I'm convinced that neither Ella nor I could get out of here alive. She and the night watchman are the only real people here. And how the others hate the night watchman.
Odious, vulgar creature. He reeks of a coarse sun.
Oh, come now, Mrs. Bilby. He's really a personable young man. He's very young for a night watchman.
Mr. Snell, sometimes I wonder about your taste.
You must not stay so much to yourself. You must become better acquainted with our ways.
That's quite true. You must come to the play tonight. We're going to be entertained with one of Mrs. Bilby's tragic comedies, Love in Shadowland. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
It's really a festive occasion, you know. Wanamaker's is coming over.
Wanamaker's?
Yes. The entire colony over at Wanamaker's is coming here en masse to attend the play.
You mean there are people living in other stores?
Oh, dear, yes. Didn't you know? Of course, the best people live in Bracy's and Wanamaker's.
Oh, come now, Mrs. Bilby. There are some very nice people at Altman's.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Bilby.
Oh, hello, Ella.
Good evening, Mr. Snell.
Well, what is it, Ella?
Please, ma'am, I'd so love to see you play tonight. May I have your permission?
Certainly not. You know better than that, you stupid creature. You know where you belong. In the basement by the garbage can.
But, Mrs. Bilby...
Hush, Mrs. Snell.
Ella, you're becoming entirely too forward of late. I'd advise you to watch your step. Remember the dark man.
Oh, no, please, Mr. Roscoe. I'm sorry, Mrs. Bilby. Excuse me.
Well, how can you treat her like that? Why do you always frighten her? And what is all this about the dark men?
Well, you see...
Oh, please, Mr. Roscoe. Not now. You'll spoil our whole evening. I do so want Mr. Snell to enjoy my play.
Very well, Mrs. Bilby. Later, Mr. Snell.
But I want to know about the dark men.
Later.
October 21. I found an opportunity to speak to Ella alone. Last night at the play, I induced a fit of hiccups. As I anticipated, I was sternly reprimanded and told to go and secrete myself in the basement where the night watchman wouldn't hear me. This was exactly what I had planned. I went to the basement, and there in the darkness among the garbage cans and the rats, I heard sobbing. Ella? Ella, is that you? Why are you crying? What is it, Ella?
They wouldn't even let me see the play.
Oh, is that all?
Oh, Mr. Snell, I'm so happy.
No, you mustn't cry.
You're the only one. They're the only one who's kind.
Ella, why do they treat you so differently?
Because I'm not like them. I didn't choose to come here.
You mean you're held prisoner?
You see, I was only 6. I came here on a shopping tour with my mother. I got lost and fell asleep behind the counter. It was dark, and when I woke, they found me. Some of them wanted to send for the dark men because they were afraid I would tell on them, but Mrs. Vanderpant said no. I could stay and be her maid. I've been here ever since.
Since you were 6, but haven't you ever tried to get away?
Oh, no. I don't know anything about out there. I wouldn't know what to do. Besides, I'm afraid to take the chance. If anyone tries to get out, they send for the dark men.
Ella, who are the dark men?
Oh, it's horrible.
Well, tell me.
You know how people live in all the stores, at Gimbel's and Bloomingdale's. Well, the dark men live at the undertakers.
Good heavens.
And whenever someone dies or breaks the rules or when a burglar gets in and sees these people and night tells, they send for the dark men.
Well, that's horrible.
They put the body in the butcher shop in the food department, and then the dark men come. I saw them once. It was terrible.
What do they do?
They go in where the dead person is. They have wax with them and all sorts of things. And when they're gone, there's just a wax model left on the counter. Then our people put a frock on it or a bathing suit and mix it up with the other wax models in the window, and nobody ever knows.
Ella, you mean all these dummies around us?
Oh, not all of them, but if you displease these people, the same thing will happen to you.
October 30th. Once more, I'm frozen with terror. Not for myself now, but for Ellen. They hate her. Any time they might turn against her and send for the dark men. My mind is filled with her. I dream of her every day. I live to see her at night. They've managed it several times. They trust me now and let me roam about without interference. Finally, tonight, I met her again and said it. Ella, I love you.
Charles.
I love you, Ella. Let's get married, or whatever they do here, and then we can live together in my home in the carpet department. They wouldn't dare hurt you.
Charles.
No, don't look so dismayed. If you like, we'll go away from here. Maybe we can get transferred to Bergdorf Goodman's overlooking Central Park.
Don't, Charles, don't you? You mustn't.
But I love you.
Please, Charles.
Ella, you're not in love with someone else?
Charles, yes. Yes, I am.
But who? I thought you hated them all. It must be Roscoe. He's the only one that's young enough.
Oh, no, Charles, not Roscoe. Especially not him. I do hate them all. They make me shudder.
Well, who is it then?
It's he.
Who?
The night watchman.
No, that's impossible.
I love him. He smells of the sun.
Ella.
Oh, it was wonderful, the way it happened. Don't tell me, Charles, or they'll punish me.
No.
I was careless, and there he was, coming around the corner in the ladies' lingerie department. I was caught. There were only some wax models and their underthings, and there was nothing else to do. I slipped off my dress and stood still.
I see.
He stopped near me. He looked at me, and, oh, Charles, he spoke to me. He said, "Say, honey, I wish they made him like you on the 8th Avenue." Charles, wasn't that a lovely thing to say?
Well, personally, I should have said Park Avenue.
Charles, don't get like these people here. It doesn't matter what avenue. It was a lovely thing to say.
But what can you do about it? Ella, he belongs to another world.
Yes, to 8th Avenue, and I want to go there. Charles, are you really my friend?
Yes, of course I am.
Then I'll tell you. I'm going to stand there again in the lingerie department, so he'll see me.
And then?
Perhaps you'll speak to me again.
Ella, you're only torturing yourself. You only think that you love him because you think he'll take you out of here. But you don't know that he will. And I will, Ella. I've made up my mind.
Oh, no, Charles, I couldn't let you do it. Even if I loved you, you couldn't do it, Charles.
Why not?
Because you really belong here. You've become one of them now.
Oh, Ella, you mustn't say that.
True, and Charles, I've got to go. There's someone watching us, I feel it.
Oh, no, wait.
Goodbye, Charles.
No, Ella, come back. Ella.
Please, Mr. Snell. You'll arouse the night watchman.
Roscoe.
Yes. Love can be very upsetting, can't it?
You heard?
Just the last moment or so. Very touching. So, she loves another. Too bad. Who could it be? Could it be that I am the cause of your heartbreak?
Oh, you flatter yourself too much, Roscoe.
And who? Your judge? Certainly not. The colonel? Hardly.
None of those.
Not one of the customers? The staff?
No, she loves the night watchman. Can you imagine that? She loves the night...
Oh?
Roscoe. Look, I shouldn't have said that. It's not true. You wouldn't do anything. Tell anybody. This is a secret between us, Roscoe. Huh? Between friends, isn't it?
Of course. As secret as the grave.
Look, she's young. Perhaps he'll leave and she'll forget him. And in time, who knows, perhaps she'll learn to love you or me.
Of course, in time.
And we'll figure a way to keep her safe here. Huh?
Absolutely safe. Now, don't you worry about it. It's almost dawn. Time for bed. Good morning, Mr. Snell.
Early evening, November 4. I was a fool. I should have known he couldn't be trusted. He must have gone straight to Mrs. Vanderpamp. This evening, the atmosphere has changed. People flicker to and fro, smiling nervously, horribly, with a sort of frightened, sadistic exaltation. An informal dance in the record department has been called off. I cannot find Ella. I'm going out again now to look for her. Roscoe, what have you done with her?
Quiet, the night watchman.
I don't care. What have you done?
Whatever I did for your own good, as well as the good of us all.
Wait a minute. What's that? What are those people carrying? Why, it's Ella. She's tied up. They're carrying it. Ella! Ella!
Stop it, Mr. Snell.
Let me go. Let me go.
No, stop it. Stop it. You're the night watchman.
But they're taking her into into the butcher shop. Ella!
Yes, Mr. Snell. Those are the dark men.
Midnight. I'm scribbling this last entry hurriedly. There and there, in the butcher shop, with Ella, the dark man. There's only one thing to do. I'm going to find the night watchman and tell him. He and I will save it if we can. And if we're overpowered, well, I will leave this pad on the stationery counter. Tomorrow, if I live, I'll recover it. If I do not, whoever finds this and reads it, look in the windows. Look for 3 new wax dummies. 2 men. One rather sensitive-looking and a girl. She has blonde hair and blue eyes, and her nose turns up a little. Look for us, and then find them, smoke them out, exterminate them.
Avenge us.
Oh, Sam, isn't it horrible?
Wow.
We gotta do something. We gotta tell somebody something. Oh, Sam, what'll we do?
Go. Nothing. Go to bed.
But, Sam...
Whoever wrote this has sure got a weird sense of humor, hey? Probably some clerk down at Bracey's ought to be fired.
But, you mean, you think it's just a story?
Are you kidding? You don't believe this stuff, do you?
Well, I don't know. I just thought...
Forget it, baby. Snap out of it. I shouldn't leave you alone. You get too many ideas when I go out bowling at night.
Oh, Sam. But don't you think maybe we ought to just take it back and show somebody?
Nuts. It's not worth the bother. They'd laugh at you, baby. They think you were crazy or something.
Yeah. I guess you're right. I guess it was silly. Huh?
Forget it. Come on, let's go to bed. I'm tired.
Sure, Sam. Golly, you know, there for a while I sure was scared. Well, I even forgot to tell you what I was going to tell you. Sam, I found the cutest dress today, only $19.95.
Yeah, baby?
Yeah. It was in the window at Bracey's, and it was on a beautiful little wax model with blonde hair and blue eyes and a turned-up nose. And there were 2 men standing beside...
Escape, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Tonight brought to you Evening Primrose by John Collier, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, and starred Ben Wright. Featured in the cast were Georgia Ellis, Harry Bartell, Vivi Janis, Wilms Herbert, Lois Corbett, and Ruth Parrott. Music was conducted by Sandy Courage. Next week's Suspense returns to the air with Gregory Peck in a terrifying radio play, Nightmare. Be sure to be with us at the same time next week when once again we present a story well calculated to keep you in suspense. You've got a date with a beautiful blonde Monday night. She's my friend Irma, the comedy starring Marie Wilson. Returning to CBS for a sparkling new season of laughter, My Friend Irma is one of the exciting lineup of Monday night shows you'll hear over CBS this fall. Marie Wilson is the comic misadventuress, will delight you when her brain goes into reverse, with hilarious consequences for all concerned. Remember, My Friend Irma returns Monday, August 29th, the same Monday night that Lux Radio Theater comes back to CBS over most of these same stations. This is Bob Lamont speaking. Now stay tuned for Crime Photographer, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Ever Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick, for great chocolate milk, and Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are in the Jupiter City atmosphere plant searching for a powerful bomb hidden by the criminal Bolger.
Commander, listen. Hear that? The timing device. We're close to it. Here, this way. There it is.
Well, I can figure out how to deactivate this thing.
10 seconds, Commander. It's getting ready to go off.
If this isn't the right control, Jupiter City will be blown off the planet.
We'll return in just a moment with the thrilling story, The City of Hidden Doom.
Space Patrollers, this is Commander Corey. Let me ask you something. When Mom and Dad had the breakfast coffee this morning, did you have a good hot drink? You know, you need a real warm-up for all-day power. That's why you should always start the day the Space Patrol way with a big cup of Nestle's Instant Cocoa. It's just loaded with good hot nourishment for real energy. And Nestle's makes the greatest hot cocoa you've ever tasted. It's rich, it's smooth, it's delicious. It's really out of this universe. Now, wait till you see what fun it is to fix. Our Nestle's Everybody is so easy, it just about makes it simple. Now, listen, here's all you do. Just put 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of Nestle's in your cup and add hot water. That's all. Now, you're all ready to drink it and get your supply of morning pep. Nestle's Everybody is the complete cocoa, too. You add nothing but water because whole milk and sugar are already in it. You ought to see the lineup around here when they sound the Nestle's call. Everybody goes for that delicious Nestle's chocolate flavor. That goes for me, too. Why don't you get the Nestle's Space Patrol habit and ask Mom to stock your galley with Nestle's and drink it regularly, the way we do. And you'll have power to spare. That's Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa in the bright red can.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The City of Hidden Doom. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are aboard the Terra 5, bound for the planet Jupiter, where the governors of the 5 outer planets are holding a conference. Whatever problems these great leaders have to discuss, Buzz knows they are no more important than the one that faces him as Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. The entire United Planets are at the mercy of a criminal who controls a device that makes matter invisible. Walls and locked doors are no barriers, and delicate warning systems are no restraint to Rolf Bolger in his pursuit of crime. Thinking of this powerful enemy, Happy has been unusually silent on this flight to Jupiter.
Worried about Bolger, Happy?
You guessed it. For all we know, he might be right on our tail right now in that invisible spaceship of his, and we'd never know it.
He might be it, huh?
He can go anywhere he wants to and steal whatever he wants. And nobody will know about it until they discover what's missing. Being invisible gives Bolger every advantage.
No, not quite. When the crime's committed with no clues at all, you'll know that Bolger did it.
A lot of good that does. He can get away with it again and again.
There's another thing to remember. Bolger can steal money while he's invisible, but he can't spend it that way.
Yeah. If we could only nab him when he's on a spending spree.
You gotta depend on Bolger's temperament. He's like most crooks, there'll come a time when he'll have to show off, make a big public splurge.
But that might not be for weeks or months. You know, Commander, I've been thinking, what's to keep Bolger from coming to the governor's conference? Being invisible, he could be right in the room listening to secret information.
That's one reason we're going to be there, huh?
But if he's invisible, what can we do?
We've forgotten those belts and electronic spectacles we took from Bolger's men.
Hey, that's right. If Bolger turns on that high frequency field to make himself invisible, we'll be invisible, too. And we can see Bolger and capture him.
Well, we couldn't fool Bolger that easily. Besides, I wanted to think I've come to Jupiter City to guard the governor. To give us freedom of movement for a plan I put into operation.
A plan to trap Bolger?
Yeah. He's got big ideas. We need more equipment. Equipment and materials that are hard to get.
For his frequency field transmitters and the control box.
Right. Our security lab technicians have examined the 2 pieces of Bolger's paraphernalia that we've captured. They don't know how it works, but they know the materials that go into it. Now, here's the general idea.
In the city of Kuban, on the planet Saturn, Rolf Bolger set up temporary headquarters almost next door to the local Space Patrol unit. Working at his desk, Bolger seems to be completely unaware The visitor is materializing out of nothingness, only a few feet away. As the visitor turns the control on the belt, Bojer flips a switch on a panel at his right.
Yes, Rubeck, what is it?
Well, Commander Corey is in Jupiter City. Corey is at the governor's conference. Major Robertson, the security chief, will act as executive officer at Terra headquarters.
Did you find out anything else?
No. I didn't wander around because I didn't want to step outside the beam and suddenly find myself visible with the Space Patrol guards all around me.
So Corey's guarding the government, huh? Mm-hmm. We are blasting off right away to Jupiter City.
But Corey's there. Didn't you just say
I
it?
said to listen. Now, I have managed to pick up some very interesting information. Information about the shipment of some very hard-to-get electronics equipment.
Yes? What kind?
Elements we can use in our transmitters.
Where is it?
In the warehouse, 23 at Jupiter City Spaceport. Now, here's the plan I worked out. When we get to Jupiter City, we'll get a large surface truck, a van. There will be a field transmitter in the truck to make it invisible.
That's great. Park it close to the warehouse, fill it up with invisible equipment, take it to our spaceship and blast off.
During the few short hours of night on Jupiter, the small warehouse, number 23, is deserted. Buzz and Happy wait in a tiny locked office, each of them wearing a belt that, when energized by an ultra-vibration field, will make them invisible. On their foreheads, ready to be snapped into place over their eyes, are the special electronic spectacles that let a totally invisible person see ordinary matter as well as other invisible objects. Happy peers through a small hole in the office partition, watching a stack of crates.
What is it, sir? It's starting to fade out. So are you, Commander?
We're becoming invisible. It means our belts are picking up radiation from Bojer's transmitter. It must be outside the warehouse. Put the spectacles in the case. Like that stack of equipment. Yes, sir. Somebody just stepped through the wall of the warehouse, sir. Is it there? What's it going to do? No, sir. We're going to decide on the stuff in this office. There's one thing to the equipment, you know.
I'm sure it's a bad house, but I could go back to the stolen site. I've located what we're after. The van isn't any too big either. There's quite a lot of stuff here. Make sure there is no watchman around. Now, there's nobody here. Anyway, there's a small office just to the right of the crate. It's like it's locked up. So we try to make sure. I divide the electron field so we can walk through the partition. All right. Nobody in the office, Bojer. All right. Get busy and load the van. Some of those boxes are pretty big. I may need some help. I am not leaving the truck unless I have to. Get busy. All right.
Bojer's probably tired of the truck. We could grab him while his pal Rubeck is in the warehouse. I can't feel his going this way. Bojer would suddenly alter to cut it off. It might catch Rubeck back in and half out of the side. I never thought of that. Without putting Bojer off, we got to find out where the castle is. Here comes Rubeck with a crate, sir. Right through the warehouse wall.
All right, there's the first one, Bojer. Hurry up. I want this truck loaded before the day crew shows up. You picked the easy job, all right. Sitting up there in the cab. Somebody's got to keep watch. Now, hurry up.
Rubeck makes trip after trip from warehouse to truck while Bojer watches from the cab. But when the van is full, Buzz and Happy climb aboard. Invisible men in an invisible truck.
Everything's all right, Bojer. Let's get going. All right. Well, it looks like it is a profitable night's work, Rubeck. Yes, sir. A profitable night's work.
In the dark interior of the van, Buzz and Happy are aware only of motion. It swerves from side to side as the big truck rumbles to an unknown destination. In several moments, it comes to a stop.
I wonder where we are. At the stand of camp, I was standing up as a van. I can hardly wait to see the look on Boulder's face. Just work their way up to the door. Don't make any noise. Okay, sir. I wonder if the truck is still in business. I don't think so. Step low.
Let the truck go for a minute through back.
Don't you want it unloaded?
It will be all right here in the garage. Come on.
All right.
Garage, you say? You're in the garage. They'll be leaving for waiting for a while. I'll give us a chance to go over the van and be ready for it. Let's go. Easy, I'm making it out. It's all clear, sir. Okay, jump on. They've got a place to hide where they can watch the truck. And how about... Commander!
Don't reach for your weapon.
Bolger.
Keep your blaster on them, Rebecca. The trick backfired for you. Now you're in my trap.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Hey, here comes Tony Sides. Well, Pete, he's growing a mustache.
Who? Me, Captain Truesdale? What do you mean?
Why, you sure have.
Ah, gee whiz. That's no mustache. That's some Nestle's cocoa. You see, I had a cup just a few minutes ago. Well, I guess I was in such a hurry to drink it, I got some on my upper lip. I'll lick it off. Gee, that's good.
See, that's what everybody says, Tony. Nestle's Eveready makes the best cocoa in the universe. It's so rich, so chocolatey, and so smooth.
Since we got the Space Patrol habit at our house, all my brothers and sisters drink Nestle's cocoa for breakfast. We love the way it tastes. And boy, we sure love the pep it gives us. Starting the day with a hot drink is real smart. Especially when that drink is Nestle's cocoa.
You said it. And Nestle's Eveready is so easy to fix it practically makes itself. You just put 1, 2, 3 spoonfuls in your cup and add hot water, and that's all there is to it. Milk and sugar are already in Nestle's, so you don't have to add a thing.
Say, as long as Nestle's cocoa is so good and so easy to fix, well, I mean...
You mean we ought to fix us some real fast and maybe both get mustaches?
You bet.
Gang, how about you? If you haven't tried the Space Patrol way to start the day, don't wait anymore. Chow up for delicious Nestle's cocoa. Ask your mom to get Nestle's in the bright red can. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the City of Hidden Doom. By means of an electromagnetic field that renders matter invisible, Ralph Bolger and his accomplice Rubeck were able to steal electromagnetic equipment from a warehouse at the Jupiter City spaceport. Hoping to capture the criminals, Buzz and Happy hid in the trunk. When the vehicle halted, the space patrollers thought Bolger and Rubeck had temporarily left the scene. Upon leaping from the truck, however, Buzz and Happy were surprised by the criminals, who rushed them with blast guns.
That's it, Corey. Hold your hands high. You too, Cadet. Take their weapons, Rubeck.
All right. Well, how about those belts they're wearing?
Remove them. They won't be needing them anymore.
What are you going to do when the Space Patrol places this van here at the garage, Bolger?
The van cannot be traced, Corey. It was driven here with the invisibility field on.
When did you find out we were in the truck?
When I was loading it back at the warehouse, I saw you duck behind a box, Cadet, so I pretended to come back and check the warehouse once more.
Get into that room, Commander. Go on.
You heard of me. Both of you, get moving.
I will lock you in here while I tend to a small errand. And you'll find out for yourself that it is impossible to escape. You can shout and pound all you want. No one will hear you.
In case someone calls while you're out, what'll we tell them?
Well, you can just tell them that we are helping ourselves to the vault at the Jupiter City Bank. But don't worry, no one will be here asking for us.
The Jupiter City Bank? Well, that's one of the best guarded banks in the United Planets.
Yes, I know. But we can walk right through Endurium walls, calmly help ourselves, and walk out.
We won't even trip on a wall.
We'll see us soon, Corey, for the last time. Shut the door, Rubeck.
as I am. It's a heavy door and there's no window. I don't know how to use the battery now. After they've been cleaned out, the Boger must have kept the room ready for a use like this. Look carefully, and every time I have to come forward with anything I can mean a way out of here. We're out of luck, sir. Anyway, we tried.
There's one place we haven't looked.
Unless there's a trap door in the floor, I don't know where it'd be.
There's a beam running across the ceiling. I'll boost it up, you can reach it.
Well, sure, but I don't see what...
You haven't much time. Just sit on my shoulder.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, Commander.
All right, Hap. Get along the top of the beam. I'll walk from one side of the room to the other.
I don't think we'll find anything. There's barely enough room for my fingers between the beam and the ceiling.
Cover every inch very carefully. Find anything?
Just dust. And some spider webs.
I'll move farther down.
Hold it, Commander. Here's something. It's a smooth strip of metal. Yeah, I guess it... Whoa!
Endurium bomb. Jump down, Hap. This may do it.
It's not very big, sir. You couldn't hammer the door down with that.
No, but it may be thin enough to stick to the track at the hinge side of the door. If Endurium doesn't bend, we may have an effective pull bomb.
Well, let's try it.
We've only had another 2 minutes. No chance. This bomb may come in here. You open the door. Stand clear.
Yes, sir.
Come on out. I said come on out. You've got something behind your back, Corey. And you will notice I have a blaster in my hand. Now drop whatever it is you are hiding and don't come any closer. Now, if you don't drop that tool or whatever it is, I'll fire.
All right.
I see I returned just in time. By the way, Commander, our visit to the bank was quite profitable. I am now a millionaire.
Boger, we've been tricked.
What do you mean?
It's crates we took from the warehouse. There's nothing in them but junk.
What?
Open a couple of boxes. It's nothing but scrap metal and some old useless electronics equipment.
Back, you fool. You loaded the wrong crate.
No, I didn't. The numbers checked with the list you gave me.
Got it. You had something to do with this.
You didn't think I was going to give you new equipment, did you?
Oh, that's how you happened to be in the warehouse, huh? You planted that information on one of my agents.
Right. I found out who he was from one of your men we'd captured.
Why, you...
Watch it, Boger. You'll blow a gasket.
Well, I show you that nobody makes a fool of Ralph Boger. Your life isn't enough to pay for this swindle, Corey. The entire city's going to pay the penalty.
What are you talking about?
The United Planets are going to learn to respect me. And to teach them that lesson, I'm going to destroy Jupiter City.
Wait a minute, Boger.
Shut up, Ruben. Those explosives in the subcellar of this building. We are going to get them.
There isn't enough there to destroy a city this size, and anyway...
And one bomb will do the job. If it's exploded in the right place. In the atmosphere plant.
Boger, you can't be serious. You know what will happen if that plant's blown up?
Of course. The atmosphere shell will be shattered. The heavy poisonous gases of Jupiter will pour into the city.
This mass murder of innocent people. What good is it going to do you?
It will teach the entire universe the folly of defying Ralph Boger.
Listen, what about us? Putting the city down around our own heads isn't...
You idiot! You don't think I intend to stay here, do you? By the time the bomb explodes, we'll be thousands of miles away from Jupiter.
Go back, listen. Don't let this maniac horseshoot it.
Shut up! I know what I'm doing. After you unload that junk out of the van, you are going to help Rubeck bring the bomb out from the cellar.
Moments later, an invisible truck bearing its deadly cargo rolls through the streets of the unsuspecting city toward the atmosphere plant. Leaving Rubeck at the truck to direct a protecting beam of invisibility, Boger forces Buzz and Happy to carry the bomb to a vital part of the building.
Just keep going, gentlemen. A little faster, please.
How can we go faster? We can't even see. Why didn't you let us wear those electronic spectacles?
You might be distracted. Just a few steps more. There. Set the bomb down. Now, stand back. I'm going to set the timing device. And just remember, I'm still covering you with this blaster, so don't attempt anything daring.
How much time are you giving?
Just a half an hour. The bomb will explode at 1600 hours. You may be interested to know that it is resting in a hollow space between two thick concrete walls.
Well, no one could possibly find it.
Exactly. And also, where it will do the most damage. Now, let us return to the truck. I'm rather anxious to get to the spaceport and blast off. I trust you understand.
Driven by Boger, the invisible truck races to the spaceport, with Buzz and Happy in the rear under the watchful eyes of Rubeck. As the truck goes to a stop, Boger calls back to his miniature spacephone.
Everything okay back there, Rubeck?
Yes.
You wait here in the truck until I get the spaceship ready for blast off. I've loosened the bracket on the invisibility field transmitter so you can carry it with you to the ship.
All right.
And remember, keep that invisibility field on until you're aboard the ship.
Yes, I know. Get going, Boger.
Okay. I take care of the money. When you leave the truck, lock Corey and the cadet inside. I'll see you later. Boger out.
Rubeck, listen. You don't want the destruction of an entire city on your conscience. Let's go back and deactivate that bomb.
Are you crazy? Even if I wanted to, I couldn't find it. I was in the truck, remember? And you two weren't wearing electronic spectacles, so you couldn't find it either.
At least we could try.
Yes. What have you got to lose? It's different. Getting aboard that ship with Boger. And my share of $1 million credits.
Rubeck, listen. Boger will double-cross you sooner or later. He's done it to the other
Keep
guys.
quiet, cadet. I'm getting ready to run for the ship when I hear the word from Boger. I'm getting out of the truck. I want you to hand me that field transmitter. Remember, I've got this blaster ready. All right, Corey. Bring me the transmitter.
Okay. It's rather heavy.
Corey, you clumsy fool. You set off the field.
Well, so I have.
Rubeck, what's the matter with you? Why did you cut off that field?
Are you ready to blast off?
You idiot! What do you think the guards will do when they see the big truck suddenly appear out of nothing in the middle of the blast-off strip?
Corey did it. Shall I come aboard now?
You bungler! I can see two patrol cars heading this way now. To take the truck off the strip, I'm blasting off.
No, Boger. Wait for me. The bomb! You can't keep me here. Wait, Boger, wait! Done.
We're in the same fix we are now, Rubeck. Might as well help us find that bomb.
I've still got a chance. Small private cruiser over there. I'm blasting off when I catch up with Boger. That satchel there in the truck. The joke's on Boger. He took the wrong satchel. The bank money's in this one. Come on, or I'll blast you.
Give it to him, Bob.
Yes. Now, heading to that cruiser. If anybody tries to stop me, I'll blast them to bits. So long, Commander.
Commander, can't we do anything to stop him?
I think so. I've got my pair of electronic spectacles. Somewhere here in the truck.
Yes, sir.
I'll get this field transmitter to work again. It's on. I can focus it on you, back.
Here are the goggles, sir.
Thanks. Find a pair for yourself. The trucker's going to be invisible in a few seconds.
But then the patrol cars won't see it.
That's not important now, Hap. Let me have that miniature spacephone.
Yes, sir. Commander, Rubeck's almost at the cruiser.
Rubeck, this is Commander Corey. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks for making me invisible.
How do you think you're going to operate a spaceship when your hands will pass completely through the controls?
What?
Remember, the ship will still be solid matter, and you're practically a phantom, a ghost.
Corey, cut off that field.
I'm getting the orders now. You're going to help us locate that bomb. It's your only chance to save your own skin.
All right. You in, Corey.
Now throw that blaster down and come back to the truck.
I'm coming.
Smoking rockets, Commander. It's 10 minutes to 1600. We've got 10 minutes to save Jupiter City.
With a thoroughly frightened Rubeck between them in the front seat of the truck, Buzz and Happy rush the huge, invisible vehicle through the streets to the atmosphere plant. Then they watch carefully as Rubeck, trembling with fear, adjusts the transmitter, projecting a beam of invisibility through a solid structure of the plant.
There. That's the way I had it adjusted before.
All right. Come on, Rubeck. Let's get that bomb.
I'll wait here at the transmitter. Something may go wrong.
It's sure to go wrong if you're here.
Yeah, after we shut the bomb off, you'd cut the field transmitter and leave us stuck somewhere inside a concrete wall.
No, I promise.
You're taking no chances. Come on.
No. Well, I won't go in there without someone to watch me. I don't want to be buried alive.
We haven't got time to argue, Rubeck.
Let go of me!
This'll keep you quiet.
I hope he stays out cold until we get back.
If we don't hurry, we won't get there. 2 minutes, that bomb will go off. Come on, Hap.
we're going in the right direction.
From the distance we walked to Bossier, the bomb must be in the east part of the building.
Well, that isn't much help. It would take hours to search between all the walls, and we've only got a minute.
Now, wait, Hap. Remember, Bossier made us turn to the left. Keep us from going down a ramp to the third level.
Yeah, that's right. That means we're on the second level.
That's this way. I know where it is now. Hurry.
I hope you're right, Commander. Oh, wow, look at the time. In a few seconds, that bomb is going to blow Jupiter City clear off the planet.
There's a ramp, Happy. Now turn left, right through this wall.
Yes, sir.
Now we're in the space between two walls.
Commander, listen. Hear that?
A timing device. We're close to it. Here, this way.
There it is.
I hope we can figure out how to deactivate this thing.
10 seconds, Commander. It's getting ready to go off.
If this isn't the right control, we're finished.
Commander, this is something I never thought I'd be able to see.
What is it, Pepper?
It's now 10 seconds after 1600.
Time to get to work. Load this bomb, back up to the truck, and put it over to the munitions outpost. Come on.
Hey, Rubek, wake up. Snap out of it. You've slept long enough.
The bomb. What about the bomb?
Oh, it's all taken care of. Safe and deactivated in the back of the truck.
Sit up, Rubek. I'm driving you to headquarters.
If ever I get my hands on him.
Oh, you'll be seeing him very soon, Rubek, at the Criminal Rehab Center.
Right, Hap. Now that we've got an invisibility field transmitter, we can fight Bossier with his own weapons.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Space Patrollers, can you pass this quiz? What does every active, alert fellow and girl need every single morning?
A good hot breakfast drink.
Right. Now, what's the best hot breakfast drink there is?
Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa.
100% correct. It's an easy quiz because we all know that for real warm-up pep, you want to start your day the Nestle way. Just put 1, 2, 3 spoonfuls of Nestle's in your cup, add hot water, it's all made, all ready to drink. And man, what sensational flavor. Rich, chocolatey, delicious. There's no other drink like it. Why don't you tell Mom about Nestle? Remember, the rich whole milk and sugar are already in it, so you don't add a thing but water. And here's the final question. What do you look for at your grocery store?
Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa. Bright red can.
Nestle's Ever-Ready. You said it.
And now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are on Neptune following the criminal Ralph Bossier into a deserted factory building. An invisibility transmitter concealed outside enables them to trail Bossier through the solid walls of a huge metal tank.
Wow, it's sure dark in here.
Now's a chance to close in on Bossier. Let me step through the other side of the tank. Rush him.
Yes, sir. Commander, the wall is solid. We can't get through.
Something happened to our invisibility field transmitter. We're sealed inside the tank.
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, Escape from Neptune. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Bela Kovach, and Tony Sides. Dick Tufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.